Chapter 4468. When Tan Xiaoting Yukong left the Divine Weapon spacecraft, his eyes were full of fighting spirit. For him, this battle with the fierce bandits is a kind of training for him. He hasn't had such a passionate feeling for a long time, although in the past he has also been to the 3 holy realms. However, that cost a lot of money and found the strongest asylum. Between the 3 sacred realms and Pingxiong realm, there are special divine weapon spaceships sheltered by the strong, and these spaceships often belong to some powerful casual repairs or forces, and the strong take shelter. Of course, the benefits he gave alone, even if his family went bankrupt, would not necessarily allow a strong person to protect him. Generally, an artifact spaceship sheltered by a strong man travels back and forth between the Heavenly Sand Realm and the 3 holy realms. There are definitely no less than 30 people on the artifact spacecraft. Even in most cases, there are hundreds of people. Last time, there were more than 40 people in the divine weapon spaceship he was on, seeking asylum like him. Sitting in that kind of spaceship, he doesn't need to do anything at all. All the thugs who block the way are repelled by the powerful who sit on the magical spaceship, and even killed. It was the first time that he himself took action to deal with the bandits who went back and forth between the 3 holy realms and the peaceful majestic realm. There is no need to worry at all. No matter how strong the bandit is, you will be done. If it is really not an opponent, there will be young master and deputy army master who, because there are Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian behind him, 2 powerhouses close to the invincible high-ranking gods, Tan Xiaoting has no worries at all. Only 4 people? After Tan Xiaoting left the spaceship, he looked at the person blocking the road, only to find that there were only 4 people. 2 young people, a young woman, and the 3 walked side by side, and behind them stood a middle-aged man who was obviously a little bit servile. The middle-aged man looked a little sloppy, but the robes on his body made Tan Xiaoting's pupils shrink slightly. It was just because the robe on the other party was a uniform, with the word Yuan embroidered on the chest. And he had only seen this kind of uniform not long ago. It was the clothes worn by the dozen or so bandits he killed last time. At that time, the leader of the bandit was also very strong, not weaker than the bandit met last time, and the other side yelled desperately just before he was killed by him. "Kill me, you will regret it." At that time, he didn't take it seriously and killed the opponent directly. He has been in the sky and sand for many years, and he has seen too many people who don't want to make people live before death, and the threat that those people say before death is only a joke in the end. It's scary. This time, is it real? Tan Xiaoting's pupils shrank slightly, and at the same time, he thought that the last time he encountered the group of gangsters and killed them all, at the same time he diffused out of the sense of exploration. He was indeed aware of the movement in the depths of the jungle. However, the movement was very keen, and he ran off the ground directly, leaving his mind to see through. At that time, he thought it was a great demon who was good at the laws of the earth system, and was frightened by his spiritual sense. But now it seems that it should be the one who survived the bandit organization. Maybe it was the sloppy middle-aged man in front of me. My lord, he killed the leader. While Tan Xiaoting was distracted, the slightly sloppy middle-aged man stared at him with hatred in his eyes. His strength is better than the leader. Although he is not much stronger, he is with his speed faster than the leader. Our Yuan organization was defeated one by one, and the leader was also killed by him. Meta organization. Tan Xiaoting suddenly realized that the group of thugs he killed last time was from this Yuan organization. However, after that war, it was obvious that the Yuan organization was almost wiped out. Now listening to what the sloppy middle-aged said, our Met organization, it is not difficult to hear that the helper the other party finds is foreign aid, not that Met organization. And as the sloppy middle-aged voice fell, the young man in the white robe studded with gold trim among the 3 young people took another step forward, staring at Tan Xiaoting as if condescendingly. Immediately he said in a cold tone, "It was you who killed my junior brother, Zhang Yuan?" Zhang Yuan. Tan Xiaoting didn't know him. However, combined with what the sloppy middle-aged said just now, it is not difficult for him to guess that the Zhang Yuan in the mouth of the youth in front of him should be the leader of that Yuan organization. The youth who was killed by him in the last time he encountered the road looting. It seems somewhat uncomfortable. That time, I also tried my best to kill them. The person in front of me, under this circumstance, I dare to come, which shows that I have no fear. Plus, he said he was Zhang Yuan's senior, and his posture was obviously to give the other party an opportunity. His strength is not below me, even stronger. Thinking of this, Tan Xiuting already knew it, and at the same time he sighed helplessly. He thought it was another group of bandits who practiced with him, but he didn't expect that he could not solve the problem. Without any hesitation, Tan Xiuting directly informed his young master, Duan Lingtian. At the same time, inside the divine weapon spacecraft, he was still chatting with Hu Fian. Duan Lingtian, who was not paying attention to the outside situation, raised his brows slightly, and then smiled at Hu Fian and said, Tan Xiuting said that he can't handle the person blocking the road this time. Isn't there a fight yet? I don't think I can deal with it before I fight. Hu Fian, who had not paid attention to the outside before, heard Duan Lingshan's words. She couldn't help but frown slightly. Let's go out and have a look. Duan Lingtian stood up as he said, maybe it just happens to be able to move. Hu Fian also stood up, and then left the divine weapon spaceship suspended in midair with Duan Lingtian. And even after leaving the divine weapon spacecraft, he directly put the divine weapon spaceship away. After Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian came out one after another, they also went out from the sky, and they came to Tan Xiating's side, looking calmly at the person in front of them. Haha. At the same time, the opposite of Duan Lingshan's trio, the green-robed youth next to the white-robed youth, saw the Duan Lingtian who had just appeared, couldn't help but laugh. Zhongyu, it seems that the other party still has a helper. If you deal with it now, just speak up. Since Miss Linghu and I are here with you, we will definitely not look at you at a loss. Miss Linghu in the mouth of the green-robed youth was obviously the young woman beside him. Although the appearance of the young woman was unremarkable, her temperament was a bit cold. Standing there, she looked close, but she gave a sense of distance as if she was 1,000 miles away. Zhongyu. Before the white-robed young man could speak, Hu Fian beside Duan Lingtian had his eyes suddenly lit up, and then stared at the white-robed young man in front of him, and asked in a slightly eager tone, Are you Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan entailing Pingxiong? At the same time as the voice fell, Hu Fian's eyes were already raging. On the side, Duan Lingtian couldn't help being startled when he heard Hu Fian's words and saw Hu Fian's current posture. At the next moment he just came back to his senses and said in his heart, It seems that Hu Fian has heard of the other party. Currently, the premise is that the other party is the person in her mouth. Hu Fian. This is clearly a joy to see the hunt, and I can't wait to fight the opponent right away. Sure enough, he is the deputy commander of Yantian Army. Chapter 4469. Yantian Army, from top to bottom, is notoriously militant in Lianggu territory. And now Hu Fian is obviously happy to see the hunt. The young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing? Duan Lingshan's gaze fell on the white-robed youth at this time, allowing Hu Fian to see the joy of hunting. The strength of the opponent must also be close to the invincible high-ranking god. Otherwise, Hu Fian could not be like this. Of course, the premise is that the other party is the Zhongyu, in Hu Fian's mouth. There are two other people. At the same time, Duan Lingshan's gaze fell on the other two people beside Zhongyu, the green-robed youth, and the young woman who looked ordinary but had a very special temperament. If this person is really the Zhongyu, that deputy army commander who knows he is close to the existence of an invincible high-ranking deity, the two people, even if they walk with him on an equal basis, they have no strength. Weaker than him. At this moment, Duan Lingtian thought a lot, and at the same time became vigilant. Perhaps this time, not only Hu Fian is going to make a move, but even he is going to make a move. And, at the same time, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but think of the Tai Lingzhong clan behind Zhongyu, who can cultivate such an enchanting young patriarch. Maybe that clan is not an ordinary clan? Among them, there is a high probability that the strongest will be in charge. High probability is a strong force. The Tai Lingzhong clan. As Hu Fian's voice fell, Tan Xiuting, who was already standing behind Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian, had a sudden change in expression. He is the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing? The leader of the bandit I killed last time was his junior. At this moment, Tan Xiuting only felt that his scalp was numb, and his face became extremely ugly. Damn, how could it be so unlucky? This time it's a hornet's nest. He used to go to Pingxiong realm. Although more of them were just passing by, he had also heard of the strongest forces in Pingxiong realm, especially some of the strongest forces. The Tai Lingzhong clan, in the territory of Pingxiong, although not the top strongest force, they can definitely enter the second echelon. The strongest member of the Zhong clan of Tai Ling is an existence that can be as famous as the Deadwood. Of course, in terms of strength, it may be slightly inferior to the Dead Tree, but among the strongest in the Pingxiong realm, it is also an absolute strong. If I remember correctly, the patriarch of the Zhong clan of this generation is the direct descendant of the head of the 3 strongest members of the Zhong clan who has the same reputation as Lord Withered Wood. That is to say, if this person is the young patriarch of the Zhong clan, he is also a direct descendant of that person. And I killed his junior. Thinking of this again, Tan Xiaotang's heart trembled, and at the same time he hurriedly transmitted to Duan Lingtian. Master, if this is really the young patriarch of the Zhong family, please save my life. After all, the reason why I killed his junior was to clear the way for you and Deputy Army Master Hu. Now Tan Xiuting is really scared. In the outside world, the strong are not terrible. The terrible thing is to provoke the strong. And Duan Lingtian, at this time, heard Tan Xiaotang's fear from his heart, and couldn't help but curiously asked, "That Zhong clan is very strong?" Just as Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiaotang's master and servant were communicating, the white-clothed youth named Zhongyu glanced at Hu Fian arrogantly. "Yes, I am the young patriarch of the Zhong clan. How dare you kill my junior? Today the 3 of you will all be dead here." After Zhongyu talked about it, his tone was indifferent, as if in a word, the life and death of Hu Fian, Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting could be at most. If you want to kill me, you have to see if Zhongyu has that ability. Hu Fian stepped out of the sky. The law of body space merged with divine power shocks, and the powerful force caused the surrounding space to tremble and then burst. In Hu Fian's hands, her supreme divine weapon, the compass-shaped weapon, was also taken out by her, exuding bursts of even more terrifying power, as if it could control the world. The power of the law of the small perfect realm, the world's visions that appeared, also began to sweep through the air, shaking in all directions. And Zhongyu, at this time, also saw that Hu Fian was not simple. His face couldn't help but became serious. Seeing the scene in front of him, and then thinking about the fighting spirit rising in the opponent's eyes after knowing his identity, he is not difficult to guess that the opponent is not afraid of him. And the strength is not under him. It's just that, now that he sees the laws and artifacts displayed by the other party, he can't help but wonder. In Pyongxiang, when did such a mission come out? In the territory of Pingxiong, he has basically heard of any existence that is close to the invincible high-ranking gods, even if he does not know them, but there is no one in front of them. At the same time, the green-robed young man standing not far from Zhongyu's side also showed doubts at first, but as the woman next to him transmitted a voice to his ears, he suddenly realized it, and his eyes brightened. The next moment he looked at Zhongyu and smiled. "Zhongyu, this person's strength is not weaker than you. Maybe you really want to ask us for help today. You know him." Zhongyu was still wondering about the identity of the other party, and when he heard the words of the person next to him suddenly, he couldn't help but frown for a while and asked bluntly, "If I guess correctly." The gaze of the green-robed youth fell on Hu Fian from a distance. This one should be the righteous daughter of the leader of the Liangu realm Yantian army, Hu Fian deputy leader, right? Yantian Jun. Militant woman. Deputy Commander Hu Fian. When the green-robe youth's words fell into Zhongyu's ears, his face suddenly became ugly. No wonder he didn't recognize him from the gesture in front of him. It turned out that the other party was not the existence of the invincible high-ranking deity in their Pingxiong territory. He has an understanding of the appearance and characteristics of the existence of the invincible high-ranking gods in Pingxiong, as well as the weapons and the laws that they are good at. Only for some well-known strong people outside Pingxiong, he only knows the name of the opponent, and does not know the appearance and characteristics of the opponent, the weapon that is good at, and the law of good at. He has naturally heard of Hu Fian, a militarist female of Yintian army. Just because the opponent's foster father, the leader of the Nyan heavenly army, was the head of the 3 ancestors of the Zhong clan who was not weaker than them, and the direct ancestor behind him. Moreover, they heard from their ancestors that Hu Bugui came from the 3 holy realms, and was involved with the saint power in the 3 holy realms. It is rumored that he also came from that saint power. No one dared to look down upon the strong who came out of the power of the saints. It turned out to be Deputy Army Chief Hu. Zhongyu took a deep breath, the chill on his face abated, and he arched his hand to Hu Fian. Deputy Army Chief Hu, as you already know, it comes from the Zhong clan of Tailing, and is the young patriarch of the Zhong clan. And these 2 people next to me in green clothes are named Lingjing from the Bingdi Lung clan, and are the nephews of the patriarch of the Lung clan. As for the other one, he is the jewel in the palm of the contemporary patriarch of the Linghu family of Tianmen, Linghu. Before Zhongyu finished the introduction, he was interrupted by Hu Fian in amazement. You are the Linghu Yundi who is known to be invincible under the strongest in Pingxiong territory. But at this moment, when he heard Zhongyu's introduction to the 2 people around him, even if he saw Zhongyu's obviously more polite Tan Xiaoting, he still didn't feel any joy. Only a face of despair was left. The Bingdilung clan is the strongest force in Pingxiong, and the Taidizhong clan, and the Tianmen Linghu clan. That is one of the strongest forces in the Pingxiong realm. The Linghu clan is the strongest in the present age. He is the same as the father of the Deadwood, Yuanhe, and is also a half-step world sovereign. He was filled with despair. He knew that the change in Zhongyu's attitude did not mean that the matter was resolved in this way. Even if the other party wouldn't treat Hu Fian, he would definitely not let him kill his junior and disciple with his own hands. But Hu Fian could not keep him. Master. At this moment, Tan Xiaoting can only regard his young master as his last straw. Chapter 4470. Although Tan Xiaoting was not sure whether his young master could keep himself. However, now he has no other choice. He can only blame on this young master. Master, I killed the leader of the gangster, also because he intercepted our way. I am helping you and Deputy Army Master Hu. Now Tan Xiaoting is really scared. The Tai Lingzhong clan, the Bingdi Lung clan, plus a Tianmen Linghu family. This time, Tan Xiaoting was even a little bit horrified. In the territory of Pingxiong, the strongest under the invincible upper gods? When Duan Lingtian heard Tan Xiaoting seek for help, Duan Lingtian ignored him for the time being. His gaze fell completely on the young woman among the 3 standing in the sky not far away. He never expected that this unremarkable woman with a cold temperament had not only a terrifying background, but also such a powerful strength. At this moment, he could hear Hu Fian's tone of shock and heaviness. Vice Commander Hu, a heroine, I have heard about it. But I didn't expect that even the deputy commander of the Yintian army, who is far away in the solitary realm, knew my name. I was really flattered. Linghu Yundi also nodded slowly to Hu Fian at this time, with a kind of friendly tone, without the slightest arrogance. Speaking of, there is an elder in my family who I respect very much. He had a lot of friendship with my father back then. I have told me many times that if it hadn't been for an accident that caused shame to face my father, I would have visited my father in loneliness a long time ago. When Linghu Yundi said this, not only Zhongyu's face sank, but Hu Fian himself was also a little confused. Her foster father still has contacts with people from the Linghu family? At this time, Tan Xiaoting, who stood behind, had his eyes brightened. Judging from the current situation, the daughter of the Linghu family of heaven may not really stand in opposition. Even if she can't help them, she will most likely choose to be neutral. And this is undoubtedly a great thing for him. If the daughter of the Linghu family didn't interfere, with the strength of his young master and Hu Fian's deputy army leader, it should be no problem to protect him. Of course, the premise is Hu Fian, the deputy commander of the Yintian army, is also willing to protect him. I just hope that this deputy military commander who is still working my way, and for the face of the young master, and is willing to save my life. Although he felt that if the situation was right, this deputy army leader who would protect himself 9 out of 10. But now life and death are at hand. Even if it's just in case the other party can't protect himself, he can't feel at ease. I haven't heard my foster father say about this. When Hu Fian heard Ling Hu Yundi say this, her eyes softened a lot. The name of the shadow man of the tree. Ling Hu Yundi, since he was recognized as the first person under the invincible upper deity of the Pingxiong realm, she naturally had her means and strength, which she didn't doubt at all. Even if she had never fought against Ling Hu Yundi, she didn't think she could be Ling Hu Yundi's opponent. The same being close to the invincible high-ranking gods, the strength is also divided into 3, 6 or 9. It is not completely impossible to kill the strongest kind of existence that is close to the invincible high-ranking god, and the weakest kind of existence that is close to the invincible high-ranking god. As for defeat, it is not surprising. Perhaps my father is still angry with my elder. Ling Hu Yundi sighed. Speaking of which, this is also the knot of my elder's heart. I only hope that in the future, Deputy Army Master Hu, you can say a few more words for my elder and say that he really regrets it. Ines. At this moment, Ling Hu Yundi's posture was obviously a little low, which made Hu Fian a little confused. Can her adoptive father make the people of the Tianmen family do this? Moreover, Ling Hu Yundi said that she was still her elder. Then the opponent is also a strong one. I will tell. Although he didn't know what was going on, Hu Fian nodded his head in the face of Ling Hu Yundi's low posture, and agreed. Thanks. Ling Hu Yundi opened his mouth to thank him, with a sincere tone. After the voice fell, he looked at Zhong Yu and said in a light tone, Zhong Yu, I am here today, so you won't make you embarrass Deputy Army Chief Hu and the others. Didn't your brother have been expelled from the teacher by your master a long time ago? Let me say, your brother is willing to degenerate. As a former son of the strongest, he is going to be the leader of the gangster. Being a gangster is to pin your head to your waist, and sooner or later you will encounter hard stubble, and you deserve it if you die. As soon as Ling Hu Yundi said this, Zhong Yu's face suddenly became a little ugly. Although Ling Hu Yundi came with him this time, the other party came with him completely because of boredom. At first, he thought he could take advantage of this trip to get close to each other and build a relationship with the Ling Hu family. But now, it seems that a bit of stealing rice is not a good thing. Taking a deep breath, Zhong Yu's expression eased a lot. Miss Ling Hu, since you have spoken, then I will naturally not embarrass Deputy Army Master Hu. But, speaking of this, Zhong Yu's gaze crossed Hu Fian again and fell on Tan Xiaoting. I can't let this person who killed my junior and brother personally kill me today. When Ling Hu Yundi heard the words, he looked at Hu Fian for the first time and waited for Hu Fian to express his opinion. If Hu Fian wanted to protect the other party, she wouldn't stand by. Thinking of her elder's self-willing fall over the years, she felt uncomfortable. If she did this, it would really ease the relationship between the elder and the Yantian army leader Hu Bugui. In her opinion, everything is worth it. That elder took care of her too much in the past, making her feel that she is not worthy of retribution. Today, she finally found a chance to repay each other. She used to go to Guilin City in Lianggu realm in person, wanting to see the Yantian army leader. However, after the other party knew that she was a member of the Ling Hu family, they didn't see her at all. Let her only return lonely. This time, being able to get on the line with the unrequited righteous daughter, might be able to open the knot for her elder. Duan Lingtian, who had never spoken, also glanced sideways at Hu Fian at this moment. Although he had learned a lot about Hu Fian from the time spent together, he was not sure what choice Hu Fian would make in the face of pressure from the Taidizhong clan in the Pingxiong realm. After all, Tan Xiaoting and her are not relatives. At this time, Tan Xiaoting was pale, looking at Hu Fian with hope, his eyes full of humble begging. What do you think? At this time, Hu Fian's eyes fell on Duan Lingshan's body and asked bluntly. At the same time as she asked, she also transmitted to Duan Lingtian. If we don't hand over the person, even now with Ling Hu Yundi's help, we can send him away. But we will suffer from Taidizhong on the next journey. The revenge of the clan. This Zhong Yu, as the young master of the Zhong clan, his father is not only the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong clan, but also the strongest member of the Zhong clan and his direct ancestor. It is said that the ancestor of the Zhong clan also loved Zhongyu. Zhongyu, he can achieve today's achievements, of course, because of his superior talent, but more because of the elder of the Zhong clan, Zhu. Having said that, she paused. And if we hand over the people, we will be free from these troubles. Or even a crisis. Chapter 4471. Now what Hu Fian meant was obvious. If you don't give up Tanxioting, the next road to one of the three holy realms, the Wind Holy Realm, will not be calm, or will be chased by strong men sent by the Zhong clan of Taidi. If you give up Tanxioting, the next road, although it cannot be said that the road is smooth, will not be targeted by the Taidi Zhong clan. Master. Tanxioting was already nervous at first, but now seeing Hu Fian look at his young master and ask his own young master's opinion, he suddenly became anxious and hurriedly said, "You." However, Tanxioting has not finished speaking yet. Duan Lingtian has looked at Hu Fian with a firm gaze and said, "Tanxioting is my person, and this way is also clearing the obstacles for us. I can't hand him out. If he weren't there, wouldn't you and I kill the leader of the gangster?" As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, Tan Xiaotang's face suddenly became happy, and at the same time he repeatedly thanked him. "Thank you, master, thank you, master." At this moment he was really grateful. Although he killed the bandit leader in order to clear the obstacles between the two in front of him, judging from the current situation, handing him over would undoubtedly save a lot of trouble. He is not a stupid person. He naturally knows that if his young master and this deputy who are to protect themselves, even if the young master of the Zhong clan, Zhongyu, will temporarily retreat because of the existence of Ling Huyundi. However, once Ling Huyundi left, they would surely face revenge from Zhongyu and the Zhong family along the way. If he stood in the position of two people, he felt that he would also choose to abandon himself with a high probability. But I didn't expect that this young master who didn't really have any real feelings in his own family would definitely protect himself as soon as he opened his mouth. How could he not be moved or grateful? At the same time, the complexion of Zhongyu of the Zhong clan suddenly sank, and at the same time, his gaze at Duan Lingtian became a little more jealous. Those who can walk with a character like Hu Fian and ask for their opinions are absolutely impossible. Now he also saw it. The person who killed his junior was the person next to him. After all, that person called this man young master. As for Hu Fian, after receiving Duan Lingtian's reply, although his expression didn't change much, his eyes flashed with appreciation. If the person in front of her gave up Tanxioting, although she could understand, she would still look down on him from the bottom of her heart. The opponent is determined to protect Tanxioting, which shows his character. If this time the other party gave up Tanxioting, after waiting for one of the three holy realms, Fengsheng realm, she would definitely find an excuse to part ways with him. After all, the other party can abandon Tanxioting today, and in the future when they encounter a common crisis, they can also abandon her Hu Fian. Although she has a lot of self-protection methods from her foster father, those methods cannot be used endlessly. If the companions around you are unreliable, it is better to go alone. Zhongyu, you also heard what my friend said. People, you can't move. Hu Fian looked at Zhongyu with a very strong attitude. If you are not convinced, you and I will be able to fight a battle. Just so, I also want to see the methods of the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Taidi. At this moment, on Hu Fian's body, the fighting spirit regained. A long hair broke free and the hair tress flew up, and the whole person stood there, like a female of war ready to go, majestic and majestic. When Zhongyu heard this, although his face was ugly, he still subconsciously looked at Ling Huyundi. And Ling Huyundi, after sensing Zhongyu's gaze, said lightly, "Zhongyu, your junior is also to blame. This matter, so be it." When the voice fell, Ling Huyundi looked at another young man next to him, and asked indifferently, "Lung Jing, what do you think?" Lung Jing, the nephew of the patriarch of the Bingdi Lung clan, and the genius of the Lung clan, came with Ling Huyundi and Zhongyu on this trip. He also looked at Zhongyu when he heard Ling Huyundi's words. Said, "Zhongyu, Miss Ling Hu made sense. This matter depends on Miss Linga's face, so let's just let it go." Humph. Zhongyu snorted coldly. He was jealous of Ling Huyundi's strength and background. He didn't say much. He just gave Duan Lingtian a bitter look, then turned and left. And Lung Jing also quickly followed. Deputy Army Chief Hu. Before leaving, Ling Hu Yundi glanced at Hu Fian, smiled and said, "Please don't forget what you just promised me." When the voice fell, she followed Zhong Yu and left without waiting for Hu Fian to respond. Before turning around, she didn't know whether it was intentional or unintentional. She stayed on Duan Lingtian for a while before moving away. This, and the survivor of the bandit organization, was also a sloppy middle-aged man who brought Zhong Yu to the door. His face was also very ugly at this time, and he never expected this result. Of course, he didn't dare to neglect, and quickly followed Zhong Yu. He had no doubt that if he didn't follow up in time, he would be left behind by the opponent, or even perished on the spot. A battle ended in this way. Did not even fight. However, although there was no fight, Duan Lingshan's heart was not calm. He knew that the scene just now seemed calm, but it was actually after the calmness. If Ling Hu Yundi of the Ling Hu family hadn't intervened that day, this matter could not have ended in such a hasty way. Whether it is the Taidizhong clan or the Bingdi Lung clan, they are all powerful families that are not weaker than Yantian army. As the genius powerhouses of the two clans, the strength is close to the existence of the invincible high-ranking gods, and naturally they are not afraid of Hu Fian. Not to mention his an unknown person. Today, if there is no Ling Hu Yundi, I am afraid not only Hu Fian will take the shot, but I will also take the shot. Only by overwhelming Zhong Yu and Lung Jing can we protect Tan Xiuting. Duan Lingtian knew this very well. This hasn't entered the three holy realms yet, it's just in one of the outer realms of the three holy realms. In this realm, there can be three existences that are close to the invincible high-ranking gods, and one of them is even more recognized as hero. The first person under the invincible high-ranking god. Thinking of Ling Hu Yundi, even Duan Lingtian was full of jealousy. The opponent can be recognized as invincible under the invincible upper gods of the Pingxiong realm. Naturally, there is no doubt about his strength. Even if he shoots with all his strength, even if all the laws are cloned, or even ask for the help of the Tree of Life and the of Pure Water, I am afraid that he may not be able to defeat the opponent. At most, I'm afraid it will be a tie. Even maybe he fell into a disadvantage. After all, none of the laws he mastered has entered the realm of small perfection. His strength is strong, relying more on kendo. That Ling Hu Yundi is so powerful, I'm afraid it's not just that he has a profound knowledge of the rules. It's certainly not weak in other ways, not limited to the four ways of heaven and earth. Duan Lingshan's expression became serious unconsciously. "Thank you, Master, and thank you, Deputy Chief Hu." At the same time, seeing Zhong Yu's backs completely disappeared before his eyes, Tan Xiuting breathed a sigh of relief, but also hurriedly thanked Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. In his opinion, he has recovered his life today. Young Master, Deputy Army Leader Hu. The young master of the Taidizhong clan left just now, because he was afraid of Miss Ling Hu from the Tianmen Ling Hu family. After leaving, he may not be able to give up. Tan Xiuting suggested. Otherwise, we will take a detour on the next road? I can control the divine weapon spacecraft. Master and Deputy Army Master who can practice or understand the laws and the four realms of the world with peace of mind. Tan Xiuting made such a suggestion, naturally not only for Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian's sake, but also for his own sake. Once the young master of the Zhong clan of Taidi, Zhong Yu, gets rid of Ling Hu Yundi and comes back, fearing the background behind his young master and Deputy Army Master Hu, perhaps he will not kill his master and Deputy Army Master Hu, but he will not have any concerns. Tan Xiating's suggestion was adopted by Hu Fian. Seeing this, Duan Lingtian naturally didn't have any comments, and it took a little more time at most to make a detour. After a while, an artifact spacecraft did not move forward, but detoured to the side. Behind the divine artifact spacecraft, Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian didn't even notice it. A sloppy middle-aged man was following their divine artifact spacecraft far away. The other side. Miss Ling Hu, why do you give Hu Fian face like that? Nian Tianjun in front of your Tianmen Ling Hu family. I am afraid that it is nothing at all, right? Lung Jing looked at Ling Hu Yundi who was not far away, and asked in confusion. As far as he knows, there are no less than 3 strongest people in the Tianmen Ling Hu family, from the half-step ancestor of the world. And the strength is not weaker than that of the Nyan army master Hu Bugue. In front of the Tianmenling Hu family, the Nyan heavenly army was nothing at all. Didn't I just talk about it? My parents have an old relationship with the leader of the Nyan heavenly army. Ling Huyundi spoke lightly, with a little impatience in his tone, so that the curious Leng Jing did not continue to ask, because he knew that it would be boring to continue to ask. Zhongyu. At the same time, Leng Jing Chuanin said to Zhongyu, after we are separated from Ling Huyundi, I will accompany you one more time, catch up with the three people, and avenge your younger brother. Even if you can't kill Hu Fian, you can't let that young man continue to live. After all, it was the young man's man who killed your junior. Of course. Before you set off, I suggest that you'd better send a message back to the Zhong clan, and find some helpers to accompany you. At least we should be close to the invincible high-ranking gods. That young man, judging from Hu Fian's politeness to him, the strength is probably not below Hu Fian. As far as the two of us are concerned, I'm afraid we may not be able to win them. Hearing Leng Jing's voice transmission, Zhong Yu's expression remained unchanged. His eyes were not waved at Gu Jing, and the voice transmission faintly replied, I have this intention too. In the next moment, deep in Zhong Yu's gaze, the cold spread, and the killing intent was awe-inspiring. Chapter 4472. They should also have thought that you might come back with a carbine. Leng Jing Chuanin said with concern. You said, after we left, would they choose to take a detour? Depending on their previous whereabouts, it should be the location of the Wind Holy Realm, one of the three holy realms. If we go to the Feng Sacred Realm and take a long journey from here, it will be difficult for us to chase them. When he heard Leng Jing's concerns, Zhong Yu smiled indifferently. You don't have to worry about this. Didn't you find that the guy who was behind us is nowhere to be seen? As soon as Zhong Yu's voice fell, Leng Jing couldn't help but glance back. A look of surprise flashed in his eyes. Did you let him follow them? At this time, Leng Jing was relieved. The other party can't run. Should you not be discovered? Although rest assured, Leng Jing couldn't help asking more. Rest assured. Zhong Yu said confidently. That guy, what he is good at is the laws of the Earth system. Last time, he witnessed my junior and his younger brother fighting with them, and they didn't find his trace, and it is impossible to find it this time. He is a talent in this field specially selected by my junior brother. In addition, I also promised him. This time, as long as we do well, I will take him back to Zhong's family and let him become a child of Zhong's family. Hearing Zhong Yu's words, Leng Jing no longer doubted. The divine weapon spacecraft, detour forward. For Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian, this was nothing. It was nothing more than spending 10.5 days to travel to the Holy Land of Wind. Not to mention 10.5 months. Even if it is a few months and a year, it is nothing to them. Inside the divine weapon spacecraft, Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian closed their eyes and practiced. However, Tan Xiaoting was driving the divine weapon spacecraft all the way, walking in one direction at first, but when he got to the back, he forgave multiple directions many times. This scene also caused the sloppy middle-aged man who was behind the divine weapon spacecraft to cry again and again. Damn! The man who controls the spacecraft, it should be the guy who killed the leader in the past, right? You've all gone around, and why are you changing directions? Although his hidden skills are good, he still relies more on the laws of the Earth system he is good at, and if he appears repeatedly, he will be easily spotted. Although it was not difficult to keep up with the other party, it also made him spend a lot of effort and turned his head back. Fortunately, I stepped into the realm of high-ranking gods a few years ago. Otherwise, I'm really not sure to keep up. The sloppy middle-aged rejoiced in his heart. And all of this, Tan Xiaoting, who was driving the magical spacecraft, didn't know. In the next way, although deliberately detoured, he still encountered several waves of bandits, all of which were shot by Tan Xiaoting, killing them one by one and repelling them. Tan Xiaoting did not pursue the opponent who was repulsed, for fear that too much movement would attract the threat from the Taidizhong clan. The Taidizhong clan is very famous in Pingxiong. Although not as good as the Tianmenlinghu family, it is second only to the top powers in the Pingxiong realm like the Tianmenlinghu family. Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan, when he left, he was obviously full of unwillingness. I'm afraid, as long as he is separated from that Miss Morong, he will find someone to chase us. Tan Xiuting knows this very well. If the members of the Zhong clan catch up, Deputy Army Chief Hu and young master will definitely have the means to protect their lives. Coupled with the deterrence of their background, the Zhong clan may not be able to kill them all. And by then it will be difficult to survive. When the time comes, even if the young master and Deputy Army Chief who intend to protect me, they are afraid that they will be powerless. It was precisely because he knew this that Tan Xiuting drove the magical spacecraft on his way, so he changed directions frequently and did not detour in one direction. Even the divine weapon spacecraft he is currently driving is farther and farther away from that Wind Holy Realm. Otherwise, you don't want to go to Fengxing Realm at all? Go over here and take another step. It won't take long. The distance from the Wind Saint Realm is no closer than the distance from the Thunder Saint Realm. Despite such thoughts, Tan Xiuting still did not make the decision by himself. After taking a glance at Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian, who were still cultivating with their eyes closed, Tan Xiuting finally made a decision. He went to the area bordering the Wind Holy Realm and Thunder Holy Realm. When the young master and Deputy Army Master Hu woke up, wait for them to decide whether to go to the Wind Holy Realm or the Thunder Holy Realm. Tan Xiuting secretly said, "That's all. Go all the way." The bandits encountered along the way were all repelled and killed by Tan Xiuting. In the end, Tan Xiuting's vigilance even relaxed a little. 10 days have passed. The Tidy Zhong clan hasn't come yet. It should be impossible to keep up, right? Now they are most likely to be in the direction we were walking in before, and they want to stop us halfway. We make a detour. They can only stare. Thinking of this, Tan Xiuting couldn't help feeling a little happy. However, Tan Xiuting's joy did not last long. 5 days later, there were more than a dozen silhouettes blocking the way. Tan Xiuting, who thought he was just an ordinary gangster, approached and saw the appearance of the two leading men. He was shocked. The sharply contracted pupils were also full. Amazed and incredible. How is this possible? How did they keep up? Could it be that something was done on me? It's not right. If he wants to do anything on me, Master Hu and Deputy Army Chief Hu cannot be ignorant at all. At this moment, the two-headed people who appeared in Tan Xiuting's eyes were none other than the young patriarch of the Tidy Zhong clan, Zhongyu, and the genius direct descendant of the Bingdi Lung clan, Lung Jing. Zhongyu and Lung Jing stood side by side. Behind them stood a middle-aged and two old people. Behind them, there were 10 middle-aged and young men in black costumes. Young Master, Deputy Army Master Hu. The scene before him frightened Tan Xiuting for a while, and when he recovered, he hurriedly woke up Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. The situation in front of him is no longer something he can control and solve. He didn't even need to probe, he could guess. The 3 people standing in the second row behind Zhongyu and Lung Jing are all close to the invincible high-ranking gods. As for the 10 people standing in the third row, none of them is weaker than him. How can he control and solve this situation? Maybe they just got out of the artifact spacecraft. They were killed directly by the opponent. Have you reached the Holy Land of Wind? Hu Fian, who was awakened, frowned slightly, glanced at Tan Xiuting, and asked subconsciously. But Duan Lingtian was not at a loss for Hu Fian. After he was awakened, his eyes fell on the mirror image of the front view on the side of the artifact spacecraft for the first time. The Zhongyu of the Zhong clan, and the Lung Jing of the Lung clan, it's making a comeback. This time, looking at their posture, they should have come prepared. The Miss Ling Hu is no longer by their side. I want to come. After they separated from the Miss Ling Hu, they summoned men and horses to chase him up. Speaking of this, Duan Lingtian looked at Tan Xiuting again. He is weird. Tan Xiuting obviously decided to make a detour. Why would he be caught up by the other party? And Tan Xiuting, at this time, also saw the meaning in the eyes of his young master, and suddenly said with a wry smile, "Master, I have been cautious enough. I changed directions more than 100 times on this journey, but I didn't expect to be caught up." Tan Xiuting at this time was actually more fearful than anyone else. The bitter smile on his face is more of a strong smile. Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. _WAP. Chapter 4473. Tan Xiaoting knew very well. Today, the three of them are caught up, and there is a high probability that it will be difficult to escape. Unless his young master, or Hu Fian, the deputy commander of Yantian army, is willing to take out the trump card given by the strongest, and force the group of people in front of him, and then take him away. It's just that the cards given by the strongest are basically life-saving means. When these people are only targeting themselves, would his young master and Hu deputy military leader really want to use it for him? It's not that he feels that his young master and deputy army master who are not righteous, but even if he is standing in the position of two people, it is impossible to use such means to shelter a less important person. Tan Xiaoting still knows his own position in the eyes of the two around him. Moreover, he also felt that not long ago, his young master was willing to protect him in such a situation. He had done his best to do his best. Even if he gave up on him this time, he could hardly complain. It seems that we have been tracked all the way to this point. Hu Fian narrowed his eyes, and a cold light flashed between his eyes. This Zhongyu, and that Leng Jing. I think that Miss Ling Hu is not easy to provoke, so I can't provoke it? Although Hu Fian has a good impression of Ling Hu Yundi, it does not mean that others can look down on Gao Ling Hu Yundi while at the same time. And she also feels that she is not inferior to Ling Hu Yundi. Although Ling Hu Yundi's strength is beyond her reach, her age is at least a few thousand years younger than Ling Hu Yundi. She didn't think that after thousands of years, she would still be inferior to Ling Hu Yundi now. Being a strong female is indispensable for comparison. Now seeing Zhongyu and Leng Jun making a comeback, Hu Fian was completely angry. As for Duan Lingtian, he had already stood up, his gaze toward the front became colder, and he was also muttering something. At this moment, only Duan Lingtian himself can know what he is whispering. While whispering, Duan Lingshan's eyes were sharply bright, as if the hunter had finally found his favorite prey after searching for many days. Young master, vice army chief, who if there is really no way, you please hand me over. Tan Xiaoting sighed and said, presumably, as long as you hand me over, they won't do anything to you again. At this moment, Tan Xiaoting was not trying to retreat, but really felt that there was no need to conflict with those in front of him, as long as he pushed himself out to solve the problem. Thinking about it, it is impossible for the other party to really tear his face with his young master and Hu Fian, the deputy commander of the Yantian army. However, neither Hu Fian nor Duan Lingtian ignored Tan Xiaoting. Since everyone is here, let's go out and meet them. Before Duan Lingtian spoke indifferently, Feng Su Yufeng had already walked out of the whole person, and in a blink of an eye he flew out of the Divine Weapon spaceship, came to the front of the Divine Weapon spacecraft, and confronted a dozen people blocking the road. And Hu Fian followed out afterwards. Tan Xiaoting, even though he was reluctant to come out in his heart, he knew that no matter if he couldn't come out, the ending would be the same, so he still followed. At this time, even though he was still alive, he believed in his heart that he was dead this time, desperate to the extreme, and his thoughts were ashamed. Zhongyu, what do you mean? Hu Fian and Duan Lingtian stood side by side, with beautiful eyes, but at this moment Dawson's cold light burst out. Before, didn't you leave happily? Why? Miss Ling Hu is not by your side, so you think him Hu Fian to deceive? Hu Fian was really angry at this time. This Zhongyu obviously didn't put her in his eyes. Faced with Hu Fian, who was so angry like a tigress, Zhongyu hadn't spoken yet, but Leng Jing on the side was the first to speak. Deputy Army Master Hu, you are the deputy commander of the Yantian Army, the Yantian Army military doctrine. Who dares to deceive? You? We are here only to kill junior brother Zhongyu. As for you and this friend by your side, we will never hurt you a bit. Leng Jing's tone was very gentle, revealing friendliness. Humph. Hu Fian snorted coldly. Today, as long as Hu Fian is here, don't you want to move him? When the words fell, Hu Fian's body, the power of the magical power, was already turbulent, and even the robes on his body were blown by the strong wind and hunted. At this moment, her pair of eyes burst into a strong fighting spirit. Zhongyu, how about today's matter? You and I will solve it in one battle. Hu Fian spoke again, his tone was soothing and ear-splitting. As long as you are within 100 moves, let me fall into the wind. People I will no longer shelter. If you can't do it, how about you take your people and retreat? As soon as Hu Fian spoke, he stated that he was going to fight Zhongyu, using her fight with Zhongyu to understand what was at hand. In fact, as early as when he saw Zhongyu and learned Zhongyu's identity, Hu Fian became wary and wanted to fight the opponent. However, because of Ling Hu Yundi's intervention, her wish could not be fulfilled. She still has a certain understanding of Zhongyu, thinking that she is definitely not weaker than the other party. Within 100 moves, the other party will never let her fall into the wrong place. Tan Xiuting, who originally thought he was going to die, heard Hu Fian's words, and a ray of hope suddenly appeared in his eyes. At the same time, he looked at Hu Fian with a little more gratefulness. Although Hu Fian mentioned the gambling appointment, she may not be able to win, but at least there is hope. And Duan Lingtian, when he heard Hu Fian's words, still had a calm face and could not see any emotions. In fact, he did not have any emotions either. Tan Xiuting, during the performance of the Sky Blood Oath, is his person and has nothing to do with Hu Fian. Hu Fian's willingness to protect Tan Xiuting is a passion, but his unwillingness to keep it is his duty. He respects Hu Fian's choice and will not do this. Dissatisfied. Therefore, when Hu Fian said this, he didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He will protect his people. Laugh. Zhongyu, who had been preempted by Leng Jing to speak before, could not help but laugh after hearing what Hu Fian said. Hu Fian, give face to Hus Army Master, call you Lieutenant Commander Hu. You are really real. I thought this is Yantian Army, Hu Fian's sight? The current situation, but I am strong and you are weak. Why do I promise you such a self-assertive condition? When the voice fell, Zhongyu raised his hand and waved forward. Leng Jing, you and the elder Zhong Ming and the three of them stopped them, and the black magic guards dispersed and disturbed the surrounding space and prevented them from teleporting. I personally sent this guy who killed my junior brother on the road. At the same time as the words fell, Zhongyu's eyes full of killing intent also instantly shifted to Tan Xiuting, who was standing behind Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. Chapter 4474. Zhongyu opened his mouth bluntly and ordered, as if he had already figured out how to deal with the three of Duan Lingtian. He chose to contain Hu Fian. Because Hu Fian has a good background, I really want to push Hu Fian. Hu Fian can take out her adoptive father, as the most powerful Yantian army leader, who does not return to the life-saving means. Then he will not be able to save Hu Fian. There is a high probability that you will also use the life-saving means given by your ancestors. He wouldn't do something that is not worth the loss. Moreover, he also concluded, as long as Hu Fian is not attacked, it is impossible for Hu Fian to use the life-saving means given by her adoptive father for the sake of a subordinate. As for the young man next to Hu Fian, who was also the one who killed his junior and chased after him, so that Hu Fian could treat each other like that, there is a high probability that he was also a distinguished person with a good background. This kind of person has a high probability of having life-saving means given by the strongest. Plus, Hu Fian might protect him. Therefore, he does not intend to move this young man. As for the person who killed his junior and his younger brother, he doesn't care. Even if you have a good background, there are strong people behind you. But these, I have Zhongyu too. It's normal for your servant to kill my junior and kill someone for his life, right? If you want me to persuade me, it's not impossible. As long as the strongest behind you is stronger than the one behind me, I will swallow that breath and dare not raise revenge anymore. If it is not stronger than the one behind me, then you can only surrender his life. As the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Taidi, Zhongyu also has his own pride and cannot easily bow his head. Earlier, Ling Hu Yundi threatened to protect others. He was not as strong as Ling Hu Yundi, and his background was not as strong as Ling Hu Yundi's background. So he gave in front of Ling Hu Yundi. Hu Fian is not enough to make him give in. As for the youth around Hu Fian, he still doesn't know the origin, and his background may not be stronger than his. Why did he give in? If you want me to back down, just show your background over my Taidi Zhong clan. Do it! Following Zhongyu's cold cry, Leng Jing beside him, as well as the 3 powerful members of the Zhong clan behind him who were close to the invincible upper gods, set out one after another to kill Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. The other 10 black dark guards in the mouth of Zhongyu, who were slightly weaker, spread out and crossed each other, making all their moves, disturbing the surrounding space. Obviously, Zhongyu knew that Hu Fian was good at the laws of space. He didn't want Hu Fian to take people away. After practicing the law of space to the realm of small perfection, it is enough to take people to teleport. Although only one person can be taken away, he is worried that the other person is taking away the person he wants to kill. In addition, the young man whose temperament is obviously insufficient, and whose background is most likely not under Hu Fian, he may not be able to kill, nor may he dare to kill. Enter my space artifact. Seeing the 4 powerhouses coming together, Zhongyu's eyes locked on Tan Xiaoting. When Tan Xiaoting's face was desperate and all his thoughts were grayed out, a sound like a natural sound came into his ears again. Master. Tan Xiaoting's heart was shocked, and he never thought that at this time, this young master actually planned to protect him. You know, the current situation is not optimistic. The opponent's strength obviously has to surpass his own side. It's okay if oneself can have the upper hand, but if it can't, in the end, you can only use the means given by the strongest, and even call out the projection of the strongest deity. However, his own side has this method, as the young patriarch Zhongyu of the Tailing Zhong clan in the Pingxiong realm. Will he? Moreover, beside Zhongyu, there was a Lungjing from the Frozen clan. Calm, although not the young patriarch of the Lung clan, he is also a peerless genius of the Lung clan, the strongest of the Lung clan, and he definitely has the means to save his life, including the projection of the deity. At the end, if both sides call out the projection of the Xion's deity, then it is a confrontation at the Xion's level. At that time, it's up to the Xion who has the harder fist. Even if the 2 sides are evenly matched, Tan Xiaoting will die out of 10. If you don't want to die, you can only hope that the Xion on your side will be stronger. Hurry up. Duan Lingtian said impatiently, urging Tan Xiaoting to enter the space artifact he took out. Once the battle started, he would not be able to take care of Tan Xiaoting. Hu Fian on the side was also a little surprised to see Duan Lingtian doing this. Obviously he didn't expect him to make such a choice. In this case, we must protect Tan Xiaoting. Could it be that he is so confident about the strong man behind him? In Hu Fian's eyes, the situation in front of him was just like what Tan Xiaoting saw. In the end, it must be a confrontation between the strongest. Hu Fian didn't think that he and this young man named Li Feng could contend with the existence of 5 high-ranking gods, including Zhongyu and Lung Jing, who were close to invincible in strength. Even with Zhongyu alone, she was not completely sure to gain the upper hand. Good. Very good. And Zhongyu obviously did not expect the young people around Hu Fian to do this. I want to see who is the strongest behind you. Regardless of whether it is a place outside the world or the world, the strongest people are not unknown generations, because the rise of a strong person requires many opportunities. And many opportunities need to be contended. The same is true for the strongest. The Xions are superior in their eyes, and they are even more mysterious and unpredictable in the eyes of most people, but in fact, the Xions are essentially no different from them. The strongest are also pursuing continuous improvement. The strongest people are all the existences that rely on their own strength to break out of the siege, such as the strongest of their Tailing Zhong clan, whose reputation is so great that they spread all over the world, even thousands of people. Boundary. And that day the half-step world veteran of the Linghu family, don't have to say more. Half-step Jiazun is the most powerful existence under Jiazun strong. Jiazun cannot come out. Half-step Jiazun is the respect. I hope you don't regret it. Zhongyu shouted angrily, and then set off, and Lung Jing joined forces to kill Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian. At the same time he coldly shouted, Hu Fian, your friend is crazy. I persuade you, it is better to don't drip this muddy water. But Hu Fian smiled faintly in the face of the furious Zhongyu. Zhongyu, you also said, this is my friend. My friend, how can I, Hu Fian, stand by and watch? As the words fell, Hu Fian's divine power shook, and the power of the law of space surged, causing ripples in the surrounding space. Although the pressure in front of her was great, it was not enough to make her afraid. After all, her whole card is not limited to her own strength. Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. _WAP. Chapter 4475. Wuxian is still very confident about the means of life-saving in his own hands. Don't say that you have not entered the 3 holy realms now. You have entered the 3 holy realms. Unless the semi-holy level of the strongest wants to deal with her, otherwise, it is basically impossible to really kill her. Half-holy, that is, half-step saint, is also another kind of name for the half-step jiazun from outside the world. Those who are strong in the world correspond to the saints. Half-step jiazun is a half-step saint, referred to as half-saint. As long as the half-holy can't come out, Wuxian is confident that in a place outside the world, as long as she doesn't enter the secret realm that restricts her from using the life-saving means given by her adoptive father, no one should be able to threaten her life. It seems that he is very confident of the strongest behind him. Is he semi-sage? It can't be a saint, right? Wuxian glanced at the young man not far away, and secretly speculated in her heart. In her opinion, the other party had to protect Tan Xiuting in this situation, indicating that he was not afraid of the strongest person he would face next. Clash. He must have confidence in the strongest behind him. You deal with that, Zhongyu, and the other 4 will leave it to me. And just as Wuxian was thinking about it, Duan Lingshan's voice was already echoing in her ears, shocking her heart. What this guy means. He wants to deal with 1 enemy and 4 of Leng Jing? Although she didn't know the 3 people brought by Zhongyu and Leng Jing, she also saw from the laws and strength that they showed when they left, that their strength was close to the existence of the invincible high-ranking gods. Perhaps she is slightly inferior to her, but it is difficult for any one person to fight alone. She wants to defeat. If the other 2 join forces, she can only barely contend. When the 3 of them join together, she will lose. Moreover, it was defeated in a short time. But now? This Li Feng. Is he crazy? This is the only thought left in Wuxian's mind at this moment, because in her opinion, with Li Feng's strength, facing Leng Jing and other 4 close to invincible high-ranking existences alone is tantamount to being a man with a man's arm. He really thought he was Ling Huyundi? If it was Ling Huyundi, who was known as the Invincible under the Invincible Upper of the Pingxiong realm, could deal with these 4 people, she would still believe. But at most there would be no fear of 4 people, and it would be almost impossible to defeat them. They are all beings close to the invincible high-ranking gods. Even if Ling Huyundi's strength is top, in fact, it is also limited, and it is possible to defeat the 2 of Leng Jing and other 4 together. Wanting to beat the 3 of them together is no different from a delusion. As for the 4, it is even more so without even thinking about it. He really wants 1 person to fight 4 people? Just when Wuxian felt that Duan Lingtian was crazy and a little stunned, she saw that Duan Lingtian had moved and directly slaughtered the 4 of Leng Jing and attacked. At this moment, the young man wearing a purple suit seemed to have turned into a sharp sword out of its sheath, blasting out in a whistling manner. He should be planning to face the 4 by 1 person, and at the same time call out the projection of the strongest person behind him. Wuxian secretly said in his heart. However, thinking about it this way, Wuxian did not express any opinions on Duan Lingshan's arrangements, and even rushed out when Duan Lingtian set out. In Wuxian's hands, a compass-shaped weapon appeared, which was her most powerful artifact. This supreme artifact was specially made for her by her adoptive father. It is very suitable for her, and it is also very helpful for her to improve her strength. When this Xian artifact first arrived in her hand, she used it to drive it like an arm, and she didn't need to waste time to run in like other people's Xian artifacts. For example, the 7-orifice Linglong sword in Duan Lingshan's hand was also because he had followed him in the past, and it had long been run in. Therefore, even if it was transformed into a Xian artifact through multiple Xian artifact embryos, it was no stranger to Duan Lingtian. And ordinary people, given the Xian artifact by the Xian, it takes a long time to run in, and during the run-in period, they can't exert all the power of the Xian artifact. Zhongyu, I've heard of you, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing. and let me see your methods today." After Hu Fian shouted arrogantly, he killed Zhongyu. And Zhongyu, in the face of the menacing Hu Fian, did not dare to be careless. After all, the name of the shadow man of the tree, Hu Fian, the deputy commander of the Yantian army, he had also heard of it. It was Hu Bu, the commander of the Yantian army, the returned love daughter at a young age, already has the strength close to the invincible high-ranking god. Although there are few strong females, as long as they appear, they are usually amazing and brilliant. For example, Ling Hu Yundi from the Ling Hu family that day was one of the strongest. Previously, it was because Ling Hu Yundi was on Hu Fian's side, so even though he was full of anger and unwillingness, he still gave up and left until he separated from Ling Hu Yundi, and then made a comeback. Of course, the fear of Ling Hu Yundi is not only because of Ling Hu Yundi's strength, but also because of Ling Hu Yundi's background, the Tianmen Ling Hu family. Hu Fian. Zhongyu screamed, his divine power bloomed, and the law unfolded, and then the whole person swelled and turned into a giant, surrounded by blood and energy, and rushed towards Hu Fian. Obviously, as soon as Zhongyu made a move, he used the power of his blood. The Tai Ling Zhong clan, the power of the direct bloodline, is the incarnation of Titan giants, and they collide. It is said that seeing the mountains push the mountains, the water collapses, and the power is unstoppable. Humph! Hu Fian snorted coldly. Seeing Zhongyu taking him so seriously, he also used his own blood. Originally, she still wanted to pay attention to Li Feng's side. If she asked her to help, she would also give a helping hand in time. But now it seems that she has no time to be distracted. Zhongyu, who went all out, made her also have to go all out. Moreover, she could almost conclude that Zhongyu was deliberate. Zhongyu just didn't want to let himself give Li Feng a helping hand. Hu Fian's guess is indeed correct. As soon as Zhongyu shot, he tried his best to provide Leng Jing and the four with an opportunity to quickly take down the young man at the first time, or to force the young man to call out the projection of the strongest person behind him. Only then will they be able to confirm whether the other party can provoke. And once the opponent summons the projection of the deity of the strongest, they will also summon it here, and then it will be a battle between the strongest. And if the Xian that the opponent summons is not as strong as the Xians behind their Zhong and Leng families, they may not need to waste the opportunity to call out the Xian's deity to be able to let the opponent hand over the person honestly. As the strong side, they can't take the initiative to call out the projection of the strongest deity, because the projection of the deity of the Xian cannot be called out at any time. It is necessary to use the projection jade slip of the deity given by the corresponding strong one, and that jade slip, even the strong one, has to spend a lot of energy. Can be produced, not many. Call out. The colorful sword beam spread across the world. Duan Lingtian made a move, and the laws of space were integrated. At the same time, the light in his eyes became stronger and stronger. These people, it's a coincidence. As soon as I broke through the law of space, they all sent them to my door to practice hand skills. That's right. Duan Lingshan's space law, half a month ago, smoothly stepped into the realm of small perfection. At this point, Duan Lingtian finally has a rule, stepping into the realm of small perfection. You must know that the power of the law has stepped into the realm of small perfection, which is undoubtedly an exaggerated qualitative change for the power of the law, and for those who master the law. Before the breakthrough of the law of space, Duan Lingtian had the strength close to the invincible high-ranking god. Now that the law of space has broken through, perhaps Duan Lingshan's current strength is not yet at the level of the invincible high-ranking god, but it is probably stronger than 99% of the existence close to the invincible high-ranking god. Even if it was the existence of the Ling Hu Yundi, who was known as the first person under the invincible high-ranking of the Pingxiong realm, Duan Lingtian now encountered her and dared to fight. And I don't feel that I am weaker than her. Chapter 4476. After the space law broke through to the realm of small perfection, Duan Lingtian could clearly feel the transformation of his own strength, and it was the transformation of qualitative change. At that moment, he even had a strong feeling. After the breakthrough, it is easy to defeat him before the breakthrough. Although perhaps there is still some distance away from that invincible high-ranking god, It is undoubtedly much stronger than the existence of the general close to the invincible high-ranking god. After the breakthrough at that time, he felt his own strength. The first thing he thought of was the existence of Ling Hu Yundi, the first person under the invincible high-ranking of the Pingxiong realm, who he had encountered not long ago. The daughter of the Tianmen Ling Hu family. On that day, although he didn't do anything with the opponent stood there, but it gave him a strong sense of oppression and made him feel the distance between him and the opponent. But now that he has broken through, he has the confidence and feels that he will never feel that way again when he meets the opponent again. Unexpectedly, before encountering Ling Hu Yundi, Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing, brought people back, and the 5 close to invincible high-ranking gods all came out, wanting him and Hu Fian to hand over Tan Xiuting. Obviously, the opponent is determined, and they will not easily use the life-saving means given by the strongest for Tan Xiuting. In fact, even if Duan Lingtian wants to protect Tan Xiuting, if he really wants him to use the life-saving means given by the strongest, he also needs to think about it. After all, the life-saving means given by the Xian should be used once less once. And in his hands, the life-saving means given by the strongest was only the spiritual essence and blood given by the heavenly sword Situlei. Apart from that, there was no other means that the strongest gave. Ask him to use up the spirit accumulation essence and blood given by Situlei for the sake of Tan Xiuting, he asked himself. There is a high probability that he would not use it. To protect Tan Xiuting, he must protect him, but he can do what he can at best. This time, I can only say that Tan Xiuting is lucky. While Duan Lingtian secretly said, facing the menacing 4 of Leng Jing, his complexion was calm and calm. Leng Jing is a genius child of the Bingdi Leng clan. He is good at the laws of the ice system, comprehending the laws of the ice system to the realm of small perfection, and is not the kind of initial understanding, and has a deep knowledge of the laws of the ice system. As soon as he shot, the surrounding air was icy, giving people the feeling of falling into an ice cellar. The vision of the law spread out, and the shrouded place seemed to have turned into a world of ice and snow, with snow falling and air conditioning scattered, and Leng Jing was the creator of this ice and snow world. The strongest artifact in Leng Jing's hand is also a sword that looks crystal clear, like a sword forged from ice. The sword is sharp, with the air of icy coldness and the void in the past. The space crack just appeared. It solidified in an instant, obviously frozen by the icy air bursting out of it. The other 3 who shot with Leng Jing, as the existence of the Tai Ling Zhong clan close to the invincible high-ranking gods, naturally also have the most powerful artifacts in their hands. In addition, the laws they are good at have also realized the realm of small perfection. After all, not everyone is a monster like Duan Lingtian. Without the power of the law to reach the level of perfection, with the amazing swordsmanship, he has the strength close to the invincible high-ranking god. In the past, Duan Lingshan's strength was comparable to that of any of the existence of these few invincible high-ranking gods. At that time, his laws of space had not yet entered the realm of small perfection. And now, with the breakthrough of the law of space, his strength has been further transformed, which can be called the transformation of qualitative change. Call out! Duan Lingtian swept out with a sword, and the colorful glow of the clouds completely robbed the limelight of the ice and snow world that had been affected by the power of Lengjing, making this world colorful. Moreover, Duan Lingshan's sword made the space constantly tremble, and a terrible storm of power swept through it. It was just a confrontation that resisted the joint efforts of the 4 Lengjing. Boom! Rumble! In a brief confrontation, Duan Lingshan's strength and the strength of Lengjing's 4 collided. The terrible force collided, causing the void to burst, and a huge black hole in space appeared. Then the space vortex appeared, and it was easy to get away from the surroundings. The flowers and soil on the ground were all rolled in. In addition, the aftermath of power dispersed, turning a large area around it into ruins, devastated everywhere. How is this possible? Lengjing's shocked voice suddenly resounded in the silence after the burst of power, his tone of panic, shock and incredible in his voice. Invincible high-ranking god. Immediately afterwards, another trembling voice rang out in an exclamation, and it was one of the 3 old people who shot with calmly and screamed. At the same time, Zhongyu and Hu Fian, who had been fighting each other evenly, were shocked by the collision of forces just now, and they did not continue to fight. When they looked at where the sound was coming from, saw the ruins and devastation in front of them, and the spatial vortex floating in the void for a long time, they also showed awe and incredible expressions. Immediately afterwards, they could see that Leng Jing's forehead retreated far away. Judging from their current state, it could be seen that they all looked a little embarrassed. On the other side, Duan Lingtian didn't seem to be much better, but it was just like this that shocked them inexplicably. The law of space in the realm of small perfection. At the same time, Hu Fian, who is also good at space laws, watched Duan Lingtian suddenly exclaimed, Your space laws broke through? At this moment, Hu Fian's tone seemed to be filled with trembling and amazement. She knew Duan Lingshan's strength, because in the past, she and Duan Lingtian had a battle, and the two were evenly matched. However, in that evenly matched competition, Duan Lingshan's space law was far behind her space law, and she had not yet stepped into the realm of small perfection. Duan Lingtian relied solely on the astonishing and terrifying kendo to draw a tie with her. This Li Feng broke through the law of space? Hu Fian's heart was also trembling violently at this time. With his attainments in kendo, the law of space has broken through to the realm of small perfection. His hands are probably not weaker than that of Ling Huyundi, right? At this moment, it was Hu Fian who couldn't help but think of Ling Huyundi. At the same time, looking at the scene where Duan Lingtian and Leng Jing were clearly evenly matched after the battle, she also further confirmed her guess. This Li Feng, if the sword is further advanced, I am afraid it can be compared with the invincible high-ranking god. The law of space reaches the state of small perfection, even if it goes further. If it is not the state of great perfection, the improvement is limited, and it is not enough to produce qualitative change. Only with a big breakthrough in kendo can the opponent have the strength comparable to the invincible high-ranking before the law of space has broken through to the realm of Dzogchen. Hu Fian knew this very well, because her space law has already entered the realm of small perfection. And now the reason why her strength can reach the point of being close to the invincible high-ranking deity is entirely based on his control. It was Zhongyu, who had just fought with her. Although the law he was good at had also broken through to the realm of small perfection, what allowed him to possess the strength close to the invincible high-ranking gods was also one of the 4 ways of weapons he mastered. Chapter 4477. He is not an invincible high-ranking god. The other old man who shot with Leng Jing just now has sharp eyes, staring at Duan Lingtian like a goshawk staring at its prey. His eyes are full of fear. His space law is just the space law of the small perfect state. The reason why his strength can reach this level is entirely because of the swordsmanship he masters against the sky. His current strength. I am afraid it is not weaker than Miss Ling Huyundi from the Ling Hu family that day. The old man comes from the Zhong clan of Tai Ling, and is the elder of the Zhong clan of Tai Ling. This time he left the clan and rushed over after receiving Zhong Yu's information. He was to help his young patriarch and kill the young patriarch who wanted to kill him. People. On the way he also heard from the young patriarch, why didn't he attack the opponent before? It's entirely because Ling Huyundi intervened. In this regard, he can also understand the feelings of the young patriarch of his own family. The eldest lady of the Tianmen Ling Hu family sheltered each other. Even if the young patriarch of his family and Leng Jing joined forces, he would not get any benefit, and would also offend him because of this. Huyundi. Offending Ling Huyundi is not much different from offending Ling Hu family. It was precisely because he had heard of Ling Huyundi before. At this moment he would take out Ling Huyundi, who is recognized as the first person under the invincible upper deity in Pingxiong territory, to compare with the person in front of him. Not weaker than Ling Huyundi? Standing in the distance, Zhong Yu's expression was extremely ugly. At the same time, he stared at Duan Lingtian from a distance, and asked in a deep voice, Your Excellency, dare you to ask where are you from? Perhaps the forces behind you have an old relationship with my Tai Ling Zhong clan. After Zhong Yu said that, his tone was obviously more polite, but as long as he was a normal person, he could hear the unwillingness and anger behind his suppressed tone. However, facing Zhong Yu's inquiry, Duan Lingtian just glanced at him lightly, then looked away, obviously not planning to respond to him. Seeing this, Zhong Yu was immediately flushed with anger. Think of him as the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tailing. When has he been so ignored? If it weren't for the background behind the opponent, he would have exploded long ago. I don't believe his strength can be compared to Ling Huyundi. When Zhong Yu was so angry that his expression was ugly, Leng Jing's indifferent words followed. 3. We just underestimated him and were careless. Next, the 4 of us will try our best, but I want to see if he can resist it. If it can be blocked, it means that his strength is indeed not weaker than Ling Huyundi. At the same time as Leng Jing's voice fell, the eyes of the 3 people around him did not count, and they all fell on Zhong Yu. They are members of the Zhong clan of Tailing. This time they were also called by the young patriarch of their own family. What they should do next naturally depends on what the young patriarch meant. Although Leng Jing has a good relationship with their young patriarch, it is not enough to give orders to them. After seeing Zhong Yu's gloomy nodding, the 3 of them immediately agreed to Zhong Yu, and then they rushed out again with Zhong Yu. 5 terrifying blood swept up, shooting the world. Obviously, the 4 of them shot again, just as Leng Jing said, using their best and no more reservations. The 4 figures carry 4 terrifying powers, as if the sky and the earth are straddling the ages, and the overlapping powers permeated the void, causing the void to burst and collapse. The 4 people, like gods descending, are majestic and majestic. At this moment, they obscured the sky, as if incarnate into the sky, and wanted to suppress everything. Boom. Rumble. Wow. Wow. The terrible power was turbulent, and the surging heaven and earth vision spread out. If it weren't for a very distant place, the movement in front of it was enough to attract many people to come and watch. Of course, no one is inhabited, not really uninhabited. There must be people. Now they must also have noticed the movement here, but because their strength is too weak, they dare not approach at all, for fear that they will be affected by Qiyu. Oh my god. What kind of powerhouse is fighting against? It's so earth-shattering. Thousands of miles away, a figure that was originally running paused, looking at the center of the burst of power. His eyes were full of horror. This movement. At least the upper gods, right? I'm afraid it's not an ordinary high-ranking god. In the other direction, 8,000 miles away, a sturdy figure stood on the top of the mountain, watching the distance from afar. His eyes were full of shock. Some time ago, I also stepped into the realm of a high-ranking god. But in front of this opponent, I'm afraid I can't stop even one move, right? Is the invincible high-ranking god. Even if it's not. I'm afraid it's a strong man close to the invincible high-ranking god. The center of the battlefield. Leng Jing did not believe that Duan Lingtian was not weaker than Ling Huyundi's strength, and once again joined forces with the 3 powers close to the invincible high-ranking gods to attack Duan Lingtian. This time, the 4 of them no longer kept their hands, and all took out the means of pressing the bottom of the box. Not far away, both Zhong Yu and Hu Fian did not fight each other tacitly. One is because she has already tested out Zhong Yu's strength, which is comparable to her. No one is better than anyone, and no one is weaker than anyone. Second, now she wants to see the real means after the breakthrough of Duan Lingshan's space law. This Li Feng also has the law clone. After the space law breaks through, his space law clone must be stronger. Hu Fian secretly said. She still knows some of Duan Lingshan's whole cards. At the same time, when faced with the 4 Leng Jing who were making a comeback again, Duan Lingtian not only flinched without the slightest fear, but even dazzled and greeted him with a flash of body shape. In the process of Duan Lingtian rushing out, while the power of the surrounding space storm swept across the void, another Duan Lingtian appeared. However, the gaze of this Duan Lingtian seemed a bit dull. However, although the person looked a little dull and sluggish, when he moved, he was not much slower than Duan Lingshan's deity, and even more concise and crisp. Law clone. Zhong Yu's pupils shrank slightly. Is this man from 10,000 realms? Although there are also law clones in the inheritance bloodline of powerful forces in the outside world, there are very few and more powerful people with law clones from the 10,000 realms outside the outside world. Wanjie to Zhongyu, is both familiar and unfamiliar. The reason why he is said to be familiar is because he has heard from his elders since he was a child that the strong realms in the 10,000 realms are like clouds, especially the upper 3 realms. They have the strong realms comparable to the sages outside their realms. In addition, in their Tailing Zhong clan, there are also some offerings from the 10,000 realms. Therefore, he is somewhat familiar with 10,000 realms. Of course, while he is familiar with this aspect, because he has never been to the 10,000 worlds, all kinds of understanding of the 10,000 worlds are only heard, so in this respect he is very unfamiliar with the 10,000 worlds. He only knew the powers of the saints in the 3 realms of the 10,000 worlds, and the powers under the saints, he didn't know much. This person, if he really comes from 10,000 realms, then there is a high probability that he comes from a semi-sage force in 10,000 realms. Thinking of all the previous things, Zhongyu quickly had an inference in his heart. At the same time that Zhongyu's thoughts fell, the 6 figures in the field had already clashed together again. Duan Lingtian, 2 enemies 4. Of course, the law clone is not actually an outsider, so it is not an exaggeration to say that Duan Lingtian is 1 enemy 4. After all, while he has the law clone, he has no blood to rely on. As for the 4 people on the opposite side, the power of the bloodline exploded at this time, and they spared no effort, clearly wanting to join forces to suppress Duan Lingtian. Hu Fian. Zhongyu looked at Hu Fian, and the voice transmission asked, "This one, from which realm of the 10,000 realms? Who told you that he is a man of 10,000 realms?" Although Hu Fian marveled at Zhongyu's keenness in his heart, when he responded, he was imaginary. Okay. And Zhongyu was also successfully misled by Hu Fian. If it weren't from the 10,000 realms, then it could only come from one of the dozen forces. In places outside the realm, the inherited bloodline does not contain the power of the bloodline, and there are only a few more than a dozen powers that are more than half holy who are clones of the law, and there is only one such saint power. Wrong. Suddenly, Zhongyu seemed to think of something, and shook his head. The Zhong clan behind me is a family, so I habitually think about family power. This person who owns the law clone does not mean that he does not belong to other powerful forces in the outside world, except for those who are not from the dozens of family forces in the outside world. Perhaps he came from a powerful sect outside the world. Or maybe he is a disciple of a semi-holy or above powerhouse. The reason why Duan Lingtian had a semi-sage behind it was completely because he felt that Duan Lingtian was not jealous of him, let alone fearful. And the Tai Lingzhong clan behind him is, anyhow, a powerful force in the 2nd echelon in Pingxiong. Although there is no semi-sage power in control, there are also several strong in the clan. Among them, there is also an existence like Hu Bugue, the commander of the Yantian army, who is close to a half-sage. Such a force, the other party is not afraid. It is obviously bigger. Okay. And while Zhongyu was still speculating, the loud roar from his ears and the terrifying aftermath of oncoming power made him have to rush to resist. All the distracted attention was also completely condensed at this moment, and fell on the field. At this time, Duan Lingtian and Leng Jing's second confrontation finally had a result after a brief head-on confrontation. How's it going? Zhongyu's heart moved. Hu Fian, who was not far away, was also staring at the field, the smoke and dust in the sky, from the beginning of the billowing, to the present gradually falling, but it was a matter of instant effort. The smoke dissipated, and everything in the field clearly fell into the eyes of Hu Fian and Zhongyu. But the next moment, the two of them were all together for a while, their eyes dull. This? Please remember the domain name of this book's first publication. _WAP. Chapter 4478. Under the eyes of Hu Fian and Zhongyu, the 4 Leng Jing stood apart in the distance, panting, pale and bleeding from the corners of their mouths, obviously suffering serious injuries. On the other side, a young man dressed in purple stood there with a pale face. As for his law clone, at this time he looked a little illusory, as if he might collapse at any time. If you don't enter the invincible high-ranking gods, you still can't completely crush these existences that are close to the invincible high-ranking gods. Duan Lingtian sighed secretly as he looked at the 4 people in the distance. Just now, he can say that he has shot with all his strength, even if no other laws are used. Other laws before reaching the realm of small perfection. In fact, the algorithm is cloned. Faced with such a battle, it is also cannon fodder, and it is of little use at all. Of course, in this battle, Duan Lingtian is proud that he did not use the power of the Tree of Life in the small world in his body, and the power of one of the 5 element gods, Jingshi Shen Shui. If it is borrowed, Lung Jing's for will be further traumatized by him, and he himself will not be so embarrassed, even though he is far from being embarrassed by the Lung Jing 4 now. As for the complete defeat, and even the killing of the 4 Lung Jing, even with the help of the life tree and Jingshi Shen Shui in the small world inside the body, Duan Lingtian couldn't do it. Unless, the power of his law goes one step further, and enters the realm of Dzogchen. Or maybe his kendo takes a big step forward. Both, once realized, Duan Lingtian will officially become the invincible high-ranking god, becoming a rare existence in this area of heaven and earth than the strongest. But the law of space, if you want to go further, it is extremely difficult, not only requires understanding, but also requires a lot of luck. Or chance. This time, my space law can smoothly enter the realm of small perfection. In addition to my past accumulation, more importantly, it is because I recently got recorded floating shadow beads shot by an invincible upper who is good at space law. In terms of kendo, I haven't improved in a long time. It feels. The further you go, the harder it is to improve. It's like my current state has come to an end. Perhaps. Find some time, go back to the gods, find the master, and discuss with him. It should be a little enlightening. Duan Lingshan's kendo was enlightened by Feng Qingyang. Even if he walked out of his own way of space kendo behind, it was still born out of Feng Qingyang's own kendo. Perhaps Duan Lingshan's current overall strength is not weaker than Feng Qingyang, or even stronger. However, in terms of kendo, Duan Lingtian knows himself well, and there is still some distance from the gentle wind of the master. If my swordsmanship can reach the level of a master, I am afraid that after the breakthrough of the law of space, I will already be an invincible high-ranking god. Duan Lingtian secretly said. It is precisely because of this that he can further deeply realize how terrifying his master's accomplishments in swordsmanship are. Perhaps, even if it is a realm powerhouse that is Asaj from outside the world, who is good at one of the 4 ways of heaven and earth, it is difficult to find a person who can match the master in the way of weapons, let alone find someone who surpasses the master. Duan Lingtian also had a further understanding of this point after coming to the outside world. The strongest, as long as they comprehend the law to the realm of great perfection, even if they don't perceive any of the 4 paths of heaven and earth, they have the strength close to semi-sage. Some of the powerful trees of life can directly have semi-sacred power. It is precisely because of this that after the invincible high-ranking gods become the strongest, the worst is the strength close to the semi-sage, the strong, and even can have the strength comparable to the semi-sage, or even the saint in one fell swoop. If it is those invincible high-ranking gods who have comprehended the laws to the realm of great perfection, and also comprehended one of the 4 paths of heaven and earth to extremely high attainments, after becoming the strongest, they will directly have the strength of saints, such as Duan Lingtian now. If Duan Lingtian now comprehends the law of space to the realm of Dzogchen, and then becomes the strongest, with the swordsmanship he now masters, he can directly have the strength of a saint. At this moment, Duan Lingtian sighed secretly here, regretting that he felt that he couldn't completely crush the 4 people in front of him, which was a big shortcoming. On the other side, apart from Hu Fian and Zhongyu being shocked by Duan Lingshan's hands, the 4 Lungjing who had just experienced an unusual collision with Duan Lingtian at this time looked at Duan Lingtian with sincere eyes. Horrified and unbelievable. How can he be so strong? Obviously it is not the invincible high-ranking god. His kendo is too strong. It feels. Even if Ling Hu Yundi is here, he may not be his opponent. Lung Jing's heart trembled. He didn't believe that the opponent was weaker than Ling Hu Yundi before, but after another confrontation just now, and it was a confrontation with his full shot, he had to believe. The opponent does have the strength not weaker than Ling Hu Yundi. This person. Who is it? With such strength, let alone in our Pingxiong realm, even if we look at the 3 holy realms, or even places outside the realm, they are definitely not unknown people. Which power is he from? The other 3 from the Tai Ling Zhong clan were close to the invincible high-ranking gods. When they stared at Duan Lingtian, their hearts trembled constantly. As for Zhongyu, after some communication with Leng Jing, his heart was also weak. As far as the offline situation is concerned, they do not have any upper hand, and it can even be said to be a disadvantage. If they are really fighting for life and death, I am afraid they are still slightly inferior. Of course, it is almost impossible for the other party to kill any of them. However, the more serious injuries are definitely on their side. Call. Zhongyu flashed away, and he came to Leng Jing's side. At the same time, his eyes fell on Duan Lingtian again. He slightly arched his hands and said, "Your strength is admirable. My junior was killed by your servants, so let's give it up. What do you think?" Zhongyu, after all, chose to make concessions. No concessions will not work. If you continue to do it, even if you don't get crushed by the opponent, you will still be crushed and beaten by the opponent, and it is only them who are aggrieved. In the end, they could only retreat in embarrassment. As for the use of the projection object given by the strongest to summon the strongest deity, if they use it here, wouldn't the other side not use it? Not to mention the powerful and mysterious young man in purple clothes, Hu Fian, who can easily summon the deity projection of Hu Bugui, the leader of the Nyan Heavenly Army. Hu Bugui, the leader of the Yintian army, is in existence close to the semi-sage, not weaker than the strongest of their Tai Ling Zhong clan. If Hu is not alone, it is enough to easily protect the other party. Not to mention, behind this mysterious purple-clothed youth, there is most likely a semi-holy presence. If the half-holy deity is projected, if there is no half-holy on their side, the price must be paid in the end, even not a small price. At that time, it will be them who will suffer. And their Tai Ling Zhong clan does not have a semi-holy existence. Therefore, it is undoubtedly the wisest choice to end this conflict at this time, so as to minimize the loss. Humph! However, Duan Lingtian, who heard Zhongyu's words, suddenly snorted. "Do you think I am the one you can provoke, and you can retreat if you want?" Ridiculous! Duan Lingshan's stern shout made Zhongyu's complexion suddenly change, and the complexions of Leng Jing also became ugly in an instant. Obviously, the other party is unwilling to give up. And this also made Zhongyu, and even Leng Jing and others, more and more sure that behind this mysterious purple-clothed youth, there must be a half-sage or above. Otherwise, where does the other party have such confidence? Zhongyu. If the projection of the semi-saint deity is shown, even if we summon the deity projections of our 2 strongest ancestors at the same time, I am afraid we have to bow our heads and compromise. When Leng Jing transmitted the sound to Zhongyu, his tone was a little trembling. Half-holy. Such a strong person, the cold clan of them, can't afford to provoke them. Chapter 4479. Half-saint. The Bingdi-Lung clan can't afford it. The Tai Ling Zhong clan can't afford it either. Zhongyu understands this truth very well. It is precisely because of this that he will compromise. Otherwise, with the pride of him as the young patriarch of the Zhong clan of Tai Ling, how could he bow his head like just now? For the first time in his life, he bowed his head like that. "Sir, what do you want?" After hearing Leng Jing's transmission, Zhongyu took a deep breath, looked at Duan Lingtian, and asked sincerely. There was no longer the previous arrogance, only politeness and a hint of humility. There was a semi-holy thing behind the opponent, although it was all his guess. However, even if it was a guess, he did not dare to bet. Because the bet is lost, the price is too high. Moreover, he is 90% sure of his guess. Therefore, he did not dare to bet, nor could he bet. I'm not a kid anymore. If you do something wrong, you have to pay a price. Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhongyu indifferently, and said, "I heard that in Tailing, your Zhong clan has mastered a Elysium Flower Valley. I'm not greedy, Elysium Flower King, just give me 9 plants." When the voice fell, he didn't care about Zhongyu, whose face changed suddenly, and then looked at Leng Jing. Iceland Lung clan, the captive Biming Hanyu, has long been like Le Guaner. On your side, I am also not greedy. Give me 3 northern underworld fish kings. Whether it is the king of bliss or the king of the North Sea fish, they are extremely rare treasures of heaven and earth, and they have a great effect on the cultivation of the monks under the upper gods. Even high-ranking gods can use them to refine their divine power, but few people are extravagant to do so. Even the Zhong clan and the Lung clan would not allow the upper gods in the clan to do such things, because this is an extremely extravagant and wasteful thing. As Duan Lingshan's voice fell, Lung Jing's face changed instantly. This is not greedy. The Lung clan, although they raise the northern underworld fish in captivity, the northern underworld fish is very difficult to raise, and it consumes a lot of valuable resources of the Lung clan. And the northern underworld fish emperor, among the northern underworld fish, is one of the only existence in a million. In the past 10,000 years, among the north underworld cold fishes raised by their Lung clan, there have also been 2 north underworld cold fish emperors. And now, when this mysterious young man opened his mouth, he actually asked for 3? If this can be called not greedy, what is greedy? You know, it is that their Lung clan can now produce at most 10 or 8 northern underworld cold fish emperors, and that is already where their Lung clan's deposits are. The situation on Zhongyu's side is similar. 9 trees of bliss cow? This is not greedy? Why don't you go to heaven? Although he felt that the person in front of him was greedy, Zhongyu didn't anger him because of the situation. He had no second choice other than active compensation. Zhongyu. Lung Jing sent a message to Zhongyu and complained. This time, I am trying to help you. What he wants from me should be yours. Now Lung Jing really regretted it, and he would have known it a long time ago. What happened to him this time? What happened to his frozen clan? However, Zhongyu smiled coldly after hearing Lung Jing's complaint. Lung Jing, from beginning to end, I didn't take the initiative to ask you for help. You are the one who is hot. You must follow me to join in the fun. Including the comeback now, although it is my plan, before I tell the plan, are you encouraging? If there is nothing wrong, you are afraid that the world will not be chaotic. Now, something has happened. Something has happened. You want to separate the relationship? Is there such a good thing in this world? Zhongyu is also a little angry now. This Lung Jing, he really didn't expect him to be of much help, including the helpers who came now, who were all members of the Zhong clan he had called. And now, having caused trouble together, he actually wants to separate the relationship? Simply wishful thinking. Your mightiness. Taking a deep breath, Zhongyu looked at Duan Lingtian. He was irritated by Lung Jing Chuanyin, and he was no longer in the mood to bargain with the other party. The king of bliss you want, our Zhong family can give it to you. But I don't have it. It needs to be fetched from the Hui clan. Okay, I'll be waiting for you here. Duan Lingtian nodded. He didn't expect the other party to bring so many king of bliss with him. As for bad debts, he is not worried. Judging from the current situation, Zhongyu is obviously very jealous of him. The high probability is that he feels that there is more than a half-sage behind him, and he does not dare to provoke him. Not only Zhongyu didn't dare to provoke, but the Zhong clan behind Zhongyu didn't dare to provoke a semi-sage power easily. I will come back as soon as possible. Zhongyu nodded to Duan Lingtian, and then he greeted his people to leave. When they came, they were majestic and majestic when they left. It's just that when the Tai Ling Zhong clan and his party left, they obviously lost their aggressive momentum. One by one, their heads down and their morale lost. When you come, imagine trying to push the other side and get what you want. When I left, the matter was unsuccessful, and he retreated in embarrassment. Zhongyu took people away like this, all of a sudden. Except for Duan Lingtian and Hu Fian, there was only Lung Jing left on the scene. And Duan Lingshan's gaze fell on Lung Jing's body at this time. After Lung Jing noticed Duan Lingshan's gaze and Hu Fian's gaze following him, he felt a chill in his heart. Not to mention that the young man in front of him is far from being a rival. Plus Hu Fian's words, if the two join hands, even if they really keep him here forever, it's not impossible. 3 northern underworld fish emperors, I will get them from the Hui clan. While Lung Jing secretly took a breath of air conditioning, he hurriedly expressed his stance to Duan Lingtian. as if he was afraid that he would be too late to express his stance, and Duan Lingtian would misunderstand that he was unwilling to pay compensation. When the voice fell, Leng Jing also ran away in a hurry. After Leng Jing left, Duan Lingtian looked at Hu Fian and said silently, "Didn't you say they would bargain? Why are they so happy? I asked to be lowered? I knew that, so we'll say more." Whether it is the king of bliss with the Zhong clan of Tailing, or the king of North Sea fish from the Bingdilung clan, it is Hu Fian's idea and Hu Fian's suggestion. According to Hu Fian's original words, these two things are very rare things, so you can quote a price and wait for the other party to pay. Such as the Northern Underworld Fish Emperor, it is already a pleasant surprise to get one. Bliss cow, if you can get 3 or 5 plants, it's not bad. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Hu Fian was actually a little speechless. The scene just now also surprised her. She never expected that Zhong Yu and Leng Jing would be so happy. Could it be that those two guys really thought there was a semi-sage power behind Li Feng? I'm afraid it is indeed the case. Otherwise, how could they cooperate like this? They are not bargaining. For a while, Hu Fian looked at Duan Lingtian with a bit more envy. 9 trees of bliss cow, 3 North Sea fish kings. Even for her, this is a great asset. Even, this is the treasure that can make the strongest fight. The other side. On the way to bring people back to the Zhong clan in Tailing, Zhong Yu's expression was so ugly and ugly. He never expected that this time he would lose so badly. Even if the strength is not as good as the opponent, even the background is far inferior to the opponent. "Senior brother, you have hurt me miserably, brother." Now, Zhong Yu has already regretted being up for his junior. For a dead deceased, the loss was so heavy. Zhong Yu could imagine that his father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong clan, would definitely scold him when he returned this time. Once the 9 trees of bliss cow go out, this news is impossible to hide. At that time, his father will also be under pressure from the clan elders in the clan. After all, bliss cow belongs to the family, not his father. And the matter was caused by him. No. Even if I hand over the things this time, I can't make him feel better. He is carrying a lot of treasure, enough to make some strong people desperate for it. Among them, it also includes the Xian. A flash of madness flashed in Zhong Yu's eyes. 9 trees of bliss cow. 3 Northern Underworld fish kings. Enough to make many Xians go crazy. However, even if we want to spread the news, we must be careful. We can't let him find the heads of our Zhong clan again. It's best to lead this disaster to the Leng clan. Thinking of this, the corner of Zhong Yu's mouth also gave a sneer at the right time. When Zhong Yu brought people back to the Zhong clan in Tailing, Leng Jing also returned to the Bingdilung clan alone. This time, the uncle must be under great pressure. I knew it, I want join in this excitement. When Ling Huyundi left, how good I was to go to the Hui clan. Why should I join Zhong Yu in the fun? Leng Jing now has regrets in his intestines. Whether it was the Zhong clan of Tailing or the Bingdilung clan, with the return of Zhong Yu and Leng Jing, great shocks occurred. After all, whether it is the 9 flower kings of bliss or the 3 North Sea fish kings, they are too important and precious to the Zhong family and the Leng family. However, when he heard Zhong Yu and Leng Jing say that those who asked for these things, there was a semi-holy person behind them in 9 out of 10. Although the senior leaders of the 2 clans were reluctant, but they were forced to take out things due to the situation. On Zhong Yu's side, because many people testified, the Zhong clan also directly gave him things and asked him to send them there. On Leng Jing's side, because he was alone and no one testified, there were several elders from the Leng clan who bluntly said that in order to prevent Leng Jing from being robbed of things on the way, they also followed this time. In fact, Leng Jing knew in his heart that these clan elders were not worried that they would be robbed, but worried that they would lie to the sky and deceive the 3 Baiming Hanyu emperors. Chapter 4480. 9 Bliss Cow. 3 Northern Netherfrost Jade Emperors. These 2 treasures are extremely precious to the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdilung clan. Therefore, after Zhong Yu and Leng Jing left with their belongings, the senior leaders of the 2 clans also began to surround them. There was a heated discussion on how to punish Zhong Yu and Leng Jing. This time, even if there are people behind Zhong Yu and Leng Jing, It is impossible to protect them without thinking, and the people behind them also need to take care of others. After all, public anger is hard to come by. This time, because of the actions of the two, the family suffered a huge loss, and it would be difficult to convince the public if they were not severely punished. And now Zhong Yu and Leng Jing are on their way to the place where Duan Lingtian is. And they don't know yet that the clan behind them has already decided on their punishment. Zhong Yu's side is okay, after all, he is the young patriarch of the Zhong family, and he is also a star of tomorrow that the Zhong family has entrusted with high hopes, so the punishment for him is somewhat restrained. On the other hand, Leng Jing was not so lucky. The punishment waiting for him was more than double the punishment that Zhong Yu was about to face. Your Excellency, this is the 9 bliss cow you want. When Zhong Yu left, he brought a dozen people with him, and when he returned to Duan Lingtian again, there were only 4 people, and only the 3 who were close to the invincible superior gods. Seeing Zhong Yu sending the things out, the 3 of them all showed pain in their faces. After all, the 9 flower kings of bliss is also a treasure for their Zhong family, which may slow down the cultivation process of some outstanding descendants of their Zhong family. Okay. Duan Lingtian nodded lightly, and took the things away. After accepting Najie as the master, he saw that there were 9 very strange-looking flower plants suspended in the air in the space inside. There is no force entangled in them, they are completely relying on their own aura, standing in the sky, giving people a feeling of vitality. The 9 bliss flower kings seemed to have life. When Duan Lingtian checked them through Neji, the originally huge flowers began to close, and finally closed completely, turning into flower buds. It's amazing. Seeing this scene, Duan Lingtian couldn't help but sigh and sigh. It was the first time in his life that he saw such a magical flower. It is indeed a rare existence in the world. Ordinary bliss flowers, the effect is average, only useful for cultivators under the gods. But the Bliss Flower King is aimed at the cultivators above the gods and under the gods. Even the effect of Bliss Cow is far better than Shen Yunquan. According to Duan Lingshan's understanding through the pure world Shen Shui, one of the 5 elements of the small world in the body, the Bliss Flower is not comparable to the God Yunquan, but the God Yunquan is not comparable to the King of Bliss Flowers, the Bliss Flower King. Even in terms of assistance to cultivation, Cow Bliss is far superior to Shen Yunquan in any aspect. Whether it is the absorption speed, the degree of absorption, or even the effect, all-round bursts of the Shen Yunquan. The most important is, Shen Yunquan has requirements for the cultivation of the user, and those who are too weak cannot bear the medicinal power of Shen Yunquan. Bliss 2, and Cow Bliss. Even a mortal without any cultivation can take it, and even after taking it, the medicinal power will be stored in his body and slowly released for him to absorb, cultivate and digest. Previously, after learning this from Jingshi Shenshui's mouth, Duan Lingtian can be said to be extremely pleasantly surprised. This also means that his relatives with lower cultivation bases can also quickly improve their cultivation bases by taking Bliss Flower King, not only becoming gods, but even becoming kings, emperors, and even gods. You must know that in the past, for many of his close relatives, this was tantamount to a dream. Because of the limitation of talent, let alone a king or above, it was a difficult thing to become a god. And now the problem is solved. Of course, even if he can go to the back, he depends on how his relatives choose. After all, once he steps into the realm of the king, he will begin to face a 1,000-year calamity. At that point, it is not impossible to retreat without advancing. If you don't enter, you will perish under the 1,000-year calamity, and you will die. If you don't enter the realm of the King of Gods, you don't need to face the 1,000-year catastrophe. You can still live forever and live with the heaven and the earth. Of course, if it is said to be eternal life, in fact, if there is not enough strength to protect oneself, there will be more cultivators in a place rich in spiritual energy, and naturally the cultivation progress will be slow. At this time, the strong will drive out the weak. If you want to truly achieve eternal life without desire, you can only go to places that are not suitable for cultivation. That is the place where mortals gather. But what's the point of being in that place? You can only watch your new mortal friends die from generation to generation, while you live forever alone. Maybe there are people around you, but how many people are there always by your side? After the trip to the 3 sacred realms, find an opportunity to return to the God-defying realm. Then give the things to Huan or Xiaofei and their parents. Others Duan Lingtian does not know. However, Huaner, Xiaofei, and his father Duan Rufeng, as long as they have the opportunity, they will definitely choose to take the path of the King of Gods and pursue a higher level of cultivation, not only to protect the people around him, but also to follow his footsteps closer. After the 9 Bliss Flower Kings arrived, Zhongyu deliberately calmed down, politely bid farewell to Duan Lingtian, and then turned around and left. On the other hand, Duan Lingtian continued to wait for the arrival of the Bingdilung clan, Lung Jing. The Bliss Flower King has arrived, but the Jade Emperor of Beiminghan has not arrived yet. Half a month later, Duan Lingtian finally waited for Lung Jing's arrival. Next to Lung Jing, there were 2 new faces, 2 old people who looked old. Although they were polite when they arrived, they still asked Duan Lingtian to learn from each other. As long as you beat them, not only 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings will be given away, but also 100 North Netherfrost Fish. Even the ordinary Beiminghanyu is more precious than the ordinary Bliss Flower, and it is not inferior to the Shenyun Quan. Moreover, the Beiminghan fish is different from the Bliss Flower. The Bliss Flower is a treasure that helps people improve their cultivation, while the Beiminghan fish is more inclined to help people wash the tendons and cut the marrow, reborn, and can explore a person's potential and talent. For people with extraordinary talent, no amount of Beiminghan Fish Emperor will be of any help, but for people whose talent has not reached the extreme limit, Beiminghan Jade Emperor is of great use. Ordinary Beiminghanyu also has a great effect on people with mediocre, or even low talent. Hundreds of North Netherfrost fish? Duan Lingtian knew in his heart that the 2 old men from the Bingdilung clan obviously wanted to test their own strength to verify whether Lung Jing was working with him to win the Beiminghan Fish Emperor of the Lung clan. And for him, if he wants to successfully get the 3 Northern Netherfrost Fish Kings, this battle is inevitable. He is very clear about this. Therefore, he did not refuse. The result of the discussion came out very quickly. Within 30 moves, Duan Lingtian completely suppressed the 2 elders of the Lung clan, and convinced them. The strength of the 2, although they are close to the invincible upper gods like Lung Jing, they are obviously much stronger than Lung Jing, and their rich combat experience is far from Lung Jing's. That's all. Duan Lingtian, in addition to getting 3 Beiminghan Fish Emperors from the Bingdilung clan, also got 100 Beiminghan fish, which can be said to be a great harvest. After that, the 2 elders of the Lung clan, in their polite words, also speculated that they wanted to inquire about Duan Lingshan's origin. However, Duan Lingtian ignored them. Because he knows that at this time, if he talks too much, he will lose, and if he stays arrogant, he can make the other party more vicious. Otherwise, if the other party knows that there is no semi-sacred existence behind him, why not directly summon the strongest of the Lung clan to come and destroy him? It really irritated the Lung clan. Even if the Yintian army commander Hu Bugui, or even the Qingtian sword Situ Lei came in person, I am afraid that he may not be able to save his life. As a powerful clan in the Pingxiong realm, the Lung clan is not only powerful in itself, but also has an amazing network of connections. This is what Duan Lingtian heard from Hu Fian. If a half-sage leaves, what who does not return, what Situ Lei, even if the deity comes, it is useless. At that time, only the existence of the same semi-sage or above can save him. It's just, where did he go to find existences above the semi-sage to protect him? If he has achieved an invincible upper god, there may be a semi-sage, or even a saint, willing to take the initiative to protect him. But the problem is, he hasn't come that far yet. Chapter 4481. The elders of the Bingdilung clan did not find out any useful information, and could only watch Duan Lingtian, Hu Fian and Tan Xiaoting struttingly board the artifact spaceship and leave. Lung Jing, who was standing in place after the artifact spaceship disappeared behind his eyes, could feel the icy gaze falling on him. He felt a chill. He knew that the matter of sending the Beiminghan Fish Emperor this time would not be so easy to end. As the party who dragged down the Lung clan to hand over such a treasure, he will definitely be severely punished. This time, it's a complete setback. I just hope that the punishment for me within the clan will not be too harsh. Lung Jing felt bitter in his heart, but now he, besides regretted following Zhongyu to join in the fun, and even helping Zhongyu to get ahead. That Zhongyu, that's too boring. What if he bears everything? He is the young patriarch of the Zhong family, and the future leader of the Zhong family. Even if the Zhong family wants to punish him, how much can they punish? The current Lung Jing hated Zhongyu in his heart. From now on he and I are no longer friends. The current Zhongyu did not know what Lung Jing was thinking. On the way back to the Zhong family in Tailing, he sent a message back to the clan and told his father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong family, about his plans. Father, am not reconciled with this matter. I think you and even the family must not be reconciled. Although I guess that there are more than half sages behind that person. But that's just speculation after all. It would be great if we could take this opportunity to confirm. If I can't, I'm always a little bit angry. This time, Zhongyu didn't make his own decisions as he wanted to avenge his junior brother earlier. This time, in order to deal with the young man beside Hu Fian, he asked his father to go into action. His father represented the Tailing Zhong family. It's easy to get in touch with some of the strongest. Even if you want to leak secrets without knowing it, it is not difficult for the strongest to stare at each other. I will arrange this matter, you don't need to follow up. And Zhongyu's father, the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong family in Tailing, also responded quickly. Zhong Hanin is the contemporary patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing. He is a tall and burly middle-aged man who looks rough, but his big eyes are shining with wisdom. As the patriarch of the Zhong family in Tailing, Zhong Hanin himself is also a supreme power. Of course, they are just ordinary superpowers, not to mention semi-sages, and even Hu Bugui, the commander of the Yantian army, can't compare to them. However, this did not affect his status in the Zhong family, because the strongest contemporary member of the Zhong family is the ancestor of his lineage, and also his great-grandfather. That is in existence with a strength close to a half-holy. Looking at the vast territory of Pingxiong, there are very few people who can compete with his great-grandfather. 9 Bliss Cow, such a big appetite. At this moment, Zhong Hanyan's face is also extremely gloomy, a pair of wise gongs and big eyes flashing with a cold luster. The whole person seems to be transformed into a fierce beast at this moment, choosing people to devour. No matter who you are, whether or not there is a demigod behind you, our Zhong family's things are not so easy to swallow. While muttering, Zhong Hanyan's body suddenly vibrated and began to blur. Then, it disappeared silently in place, as if it had disappeared out of thin air. At the same time, in a room in a spacious courtyard of the Zhong family, Zhong Hanyan's figure appeared, crossed his legs, and then a human-shaped light and shadow rose from him and then escaped into the void. 9 Blissflower Kings, 3 Baminghand Fish Kings. If you want to come, many people are interested. The void space is a magical space that only the strongest can enter. When the superpower enters here with consciousness, it will manifest a new identity, which has nothing to do with the original identity. And this, there is no need for the strongest to do it intentionally. No one can tell how long the void space has existed, because all the superpowers will have a certain sense of the void space after breaking through to become the powerhouse, as if something is calling them. And when they consciously sneak in, they will find that they appear in an independent space, and they will have a new identity in that space. Whether it's appearance or breath, it's all changed. Here, even if you say who you are by name, no one will believe it, because no one can confirm that some of the people here are the people you know. Unless, the other party can tell some secret things that only they know each other, so that they can recognize each other inside. However, in the void space, there are too many superpowers. Many superpowers like to retire here when they have nothing to do. And some superpowers who are chasing more power are here to talk to others. There are those who talk about the power of laws. There are also those who talk about the 4 realms of heaven and earth. There are also those who talk about the potential of the tree of life and so on. There are also some superpowers who occasionally appear here. Not for anything else, just to inquire about some news about the land of Return to the Ruins. The land of Return to the Ruins is similar to the existence of the secret realm, but unlike the secret realm that is artificially generated, the land of Return to the Ruins is said to be formed automatically by the power of the rules of this world. Inside, there is even a chance for the strongest. Some opportunities, not only ordinary superpowers but also semi-sages, and even the existence of saints or above, can also be of great help to them, and even go further. In those places, there are many superpowers who cannot enter in person, and only those below the superpowers can enter. At this time, a small number of supreme powers who have the invincible upper gods under their hands also occupied a great advantage. Under the strongest, the invincible superior is the strongest, which is recognized. In the face of the invincible upper gods, all the existences that are not strong enough to be invincible are basically like paper, fragile and vulnerable to a single blow, such as Duanling Tian. Now, with his strength, there are few rivals under the invincible superior god Venerable. However, in the face of the real invincible superior god Venerable, he is afraid that he will not be able to withstand even 3 moves. The invincible superior god Venerable is a kind of qualitative change, not only the qualitative change of his own strength, even if it is beyond the world, and even the rules of heaven and earth above the 10,000 worlds, it will give him great power, so that he can get a qualitative change in all aspects. This has always been a treatment only after the achievement of the strongest. The baptism of the rules of heaven and earth, giving great power. Wei Li short for great power. It stands to reason that the land of Return to the Ruins is extremely important, and the most powerful people, even if they know about it, will treasure it for themselves, and it is impossible to share news about the land of Return to the Ruins with others. However, if some places of Return to the Ruins are targeted by some powerful people, those weak and strong people who know the news, seeing that they can't get a share of the pie, will often enter the void space and spread the news. Its purpose is only to prevent those powerful supreme beings from swallowing up the land of ruins. Only in this way can they be a little happier. Although harming others is not good for themselves, for them, comfort is the most important thing. I can't get it, and you don't want to get it so easily. And now, Zhong Hanin, the patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing, came to Taishu space to spread the news that the superior who has strength is only close to the invincible superior god. And he is carrying 9 blissful flower kings and 3 Baiminghan. The fish emperor, in a certain direction, is going somewhere news. Of course, this kind of news the powerful Xian will not pay attention. First of all, they didn't pay much attention to the 9 bliss flower kings and the 3 northern netherfrost fish kings. Second, they also felt that it would be a loss of identity to take action against such a weak existence. However, this is not attractive to the powerful Xians, but it does not mean that it is not attractive to those who are at the bottom of the Xians. Chapter 4482. Deputy Commander Hu. Then we will leave here and there will be a future. When there was still some distance from the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land, Duan Lingtian sent Hu Fian out of the artifact spaceship, looked at Hu Fian, and said with a smile, "Li Feng, you must keep a low profile and bide your time along the way." The 2 big clans seem to be bowing their heads, but they are not sure what small moves will be made later. It is a very simple thing to borrow a knife to kill, especially if you are carrying treasure. Hu Fian said solemnly, "Although you may have some trump cards in your hand, and you are not afraid of ordinary powerhouses. But those methods are also one less. If you run out, unless there is a strong deity behind you to come to protect you. Otherwise, I'm afraid it will be more fortunate." Speaking of later, Hu Fian's face became more and more early. "Many thanks to Deputy Commander Hu for reminding me. I will be careful." Duan Lingtian nodded, although there was still a faint smile on his face, but his gaze was a little more solemn. "Farewell." Hu Fian nodded at Duan Lingtian, then took out an artifact spaceship, and drove the spaceship to fly away. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a small black spot, and then completely disappeared in front of Duan Lingshan's eyes. She said what she had to say. She did what she had to do. What happens next depends on Li Feng's own creation. Of course, on her side, it also depends on her own good fortune. This time, it was Hu Fian who took the initiative to part ways with Duan Lingtian. According to Hu Fian, the reason why she decided to go with Duan Lingtian before was because she felt that Duan Lingshan's strength was comparable to his, and the two of them could help each other and promote each other. Even if there is any danger, the two go hand in hand. But now, Duan Lingshan's space law has further broken through, and he has the strength to surpass her in all directions in one fell swoop. If he walks with her in the future, it will not only be difficult for her to promote, but it may also make her feel slack, which is not conducive to cultivation and self-improvement. In fact, this was the most fundamental reason why Hu Fian planned to separate from Duan Lingtian. Seeing Hu Fian leaving, Duan Lingtian didn't go back to the artifact spaceship for the first time, but dodged and disappeared. Reappearing, it is already in the distance. Duan Lingshan's figure constantly shuttled back and forth around. Soon his figure stopped, and as he stretched out his hand, a figure was also pulled out by his power. He was a sloppy middle-aged man. This sloppy middle-aged man, Duan Lingtian, is not oblivious. It is the person who brought Zhongyu and others to find them before, and it is the remnant of a bandit organization that Tan Xiuting killed earlier. And Zhongyu, because the leader of this person's organization is his junior brother, that's why this time he will come forward. Sir, spare your life. Your lord, spare your life. After being caught out by Duan Lingtian, the sloppy middle-aged complexion changed dramatically, and the thing he was most unwilling to face in his heart finally happened. In fact, when Zhongyu made a comeback, when he found the person in front of him through him, he knew that if the person in front of him was safe, he would definitely think of being followed. If you continue to follow the other party, you will take great risks. After all, the other party is not an idiot. What a joke. An idiot can cultivate to such a level? However, although he was reluctant to follow, and even when Zhongyu gave instructions, he specifically stated his intentions, but Zhongyu threatened him with both toughness and softness. In the end, he even put a taboo poison on him that required regular antidote, and let him no choice but to follow Zhongyu's words again. Zhongyu made you stare at us? Duan Lingtian glanced at the middle-aged man indifferently, and asked in a calm tone. Previously, 9 times out of 10, the person in front of him followed and provided Zhongyu with their whereabouts in time. Only then could Zhongyu lead the person to catch up with precision. As for the middle-aged, after hearing Duan Lingshan's words, he smiled wryly and shook his head. Before it was Zhongyu who asked me to follow you. However, after they retreated, Zhongyu didn't contact me anymore. Instead it was the Bingdi Lung clan. Lung Jing contacted me and asked me to help follow you. He drugged me, so I had to do it. Sir, please spare my life. It's not what I want. The middle-aged begged. However, Duan Lingtian ignored the middle-aged man. He lifted his hand, and his palm suddenly formed a fist. In an instant, a powerful force of space converged and directly killed the middle-aged man. After killing the middle-aged man and confirming that no one else was watching, Duan Lingtian just returned to the artifact spaceship, and at the same time greeted Tan Xiuting. On the next journey, change your appearance and become an old man. As soon as the voice fell, Duan Lingshan's body also turned with divine power, and the aura of space law permeated. His appearance at this moment has undergone earth-shaking changes. The originally softer face has now become a lot more arrogant and arrogant. The purple robe on his body has also changed into a slightly loose black robe at this moment. A pair of thick eyebrows and big eyes, combined with a pair of stern eyes, look sharp. Pressing. On Tan Xiaotang's side, he also turned into an old man in a light gray robe, then bowed to Duan Lingtian, and said respectfully in a hoarse and old voice, "Master, we will go to the Wind Holy Land next, or Lei Holy Land." Ahead is the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land, and Hu Fian, who had left earlier, was heading for the Wind Holy Land. Duan Lingtian rolled his eyes and said, "Go to Thunder Holy Land. If you go to the Holy Land of Wind, you will still follow Hu Fian's footsteps, but if you go to the Holy Land of Thunder, the two will get farther and farther away." In the current situation, the latter is obviously better. After all, the distance from Hu Fian is too close, and the target will be bigger. The artifact spaceship is replaced with one. Duan Lingtian greeted Tan Xiuting and asked Tan Xiuting to replace the artifact spaceship with another one. After all, the previous artifact spaceship had two obvious goals. Pingxiong Realm, close to the border between the Holy Land of Wind and the Holy Land of Thunder. It looks like a deserted mountain, but every once in a while, a few figures can still be seen flying through the air, flying straight into the depths of the mountains. But their destination was a building complex deep in the mountains. Here it is also the location of a supreme power. Of course, whether it is compared with the Tailingjong clan or the Bingdilung clan, this power is far inferior. Because in this force, there is only one supreme power. Moreover, it is still in existence that has only entered the Xian for a few thousand years, and its strength is also at the bottom of the Xian. This force, called the Mountain Pavilion, is a very low-key hidden world force. But today, in the depths of this Mountain Pavilion, far away from the building complex, inside a cave dwelling, there is a middle-aged man in a fiery red robe, who suddenly opened his eyes. 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings, 9 Bliss Flower Kings? And near me. While the middle-aged red-robed man muttered to himself, the vicissitudes of his eyes at this moment could not help but show a bit of greed. If I can get these things, I'm a disciple of the Mountain Pavilion, maybe you'll be able to produce a few more good seedlings with the most powerful resources. However, since the other party has these treasures in their hands, I want to come. They are not ordinary people. It's still a long-term plan. Well, I'll go to the Lin family first and tell Brother Lin Yu about it. Chapter 4483. In the Pingxiong realm, the clan standing at the top is the first-class existence of the Tianmen Morong family, and the number is very small. Looking at the entire Pingxiong realm, there are very few. Below, there are existences such as the Tailingjong clan and the Bingdilung clan. There are more than a dozen existences at this level in the Pingxiong realm. There are even more Xian clans below, no less than dozens or hundreds. And the Lin clan is one of them. The Lin family's clan residence is adjacent to the border between the Wind Holy Land and the Thunder Holy Land. The distance from the Mountain Pavilion is not close, but it is definitely not far. As the only strong middle-aged red-robed middle-aged man in the Mountain Pavilion, Feng Su Yufeng went alone, and the whole person seemed to have turned into a flame, and it was like a fiery red meteor in the daytime piercing the sky, but it only took a quarter of an Hurit was already outside the clan station of the Lin clan. Although as a superpower, looking at the entire Lin family, only one superpower in the Lin family can compare, but he is still very polite to say hello outside the Lin family. The supreme powerhouse of the Lin family is not much stronger than him, but he and the other party have known each other for a long time. The two have known each other when they were not supreme powerhouses. They saved each other's life and forged a deep friendship during those years. Even if they have become superpowers now and rarely get together, it still does not affect the Tsing-yi between them. Brother Lin Yu. The middle-aged Hong Pao heard a message and entered the Lin family's residence. In the Lin family's residence, a figure Feng Su rushed out of the wind and greeted him directly. Yifan, you and I haven't seen you for many years. I was thinking about going to the mountains recently. I met you in the pavilion, but I didn't expect you to come first. The person who came was a middle-aged man in a cyan robe with an elegant temperament. He was the ancestor of the Lin family, the pillar of the Lin family, Lin Yu. This time, since you are here, I must have a few drinks with you. Lin Yu smiled and said to the middle-aged man in red robe in front of him, that is, Lu Yifan, the supreme pavilion master of the Shanjian pavilion. And Lu Yifan, when he heard Lin Ye's words, shook his head and smiled. Brother Lin Yu, don't worry about drinking. I came to find you this time, because I have an important matter. As soon as the words fell, while Lin Ye's smile subsided and his face was serious, Lu Yifan also told Lin Yu the news he had obtained in that void space. In his opinion, those things, if you want to eat them alone, you need to take too many risks. If we can join forces with Lin Yu, we can reduce many risks. Moreover, if he succeeds, it will also be a big favor for him to sell Lin Yu. 9 Bliss Flower Kings, 3 Northern Netherfrost Fish Kings? Hearing Lu Yifan's words, Lin Ye's eyes flickered. As far as I know, there are not many cow bliss in Pingxiong. There are only a few forces that breed cow bliss, and they are all stronger than our two. Power. As for the Birmingham Fish Emperor, it is even rarer. In the territory of Pingxiong, only the two major clans, including the Bingdilung clan, exist. Speaking of this, Lin Yu looked at Lu Yifan and said with a look of fear, Yifan, the person who carries these treasures is definitely not an ordinary person. First of all, being able to get those things is enough to show that he is unusual. Lu Yifan agreed with Lin Ye's analysis. I think so too. However, the person who spread the news obviously didn't want that person to feel better. According to his original words, behind the other party, there seems to be a near half-sacred existence, and it is uncertain whether the other party has such a spirit in his hand. Accumulate essence and blood, but there is a high probability of not having it. Speaking of this, Lu Yifan paused for a moment, and then said with his eyes shining, Brother Lin Yu, wealth and wealth are in danger. As long as you and I join forces, even if the other party is a deity who is close to a semi-sage, we will have great confidence to escape. Birthday. At that time, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu traveled together. They used the rules that each other was good at, and cooperated with each other to develop a set of secret escape skills. You must know that at that time, one of them was the upper emperor, and the other was only the middle emperor. The other party is the median god. Since you and I stepped into Xi'an, we haven't teamed up to perform the spacetime escape. The spacetime escape method is the secret escape technique that the two of them jointly developed back then. The two matched the laws of time and space they were good at, and vibrated the frequency to generate a special resonance of the laws, thus opening the way to escape. Speaking of which, being able to master this secret skill back then was more due to luck. Because let alone two different laws, even if it is the same law, it is almost impossible to synchronize the frequency vibration. And they, just by chance, mastered the perfect frequency of joining forces. Although I don't know how strong you and I are now with the time-space escape method. But I think, let alone the existence of the semi-sacred, even in front of the semi-sage, you and I may not be able to retreat. The most important thing is, the time and space escape method. We have used it a few times in total, and they are all used when the cultivation base is low. No one knows that it is our method. So, we don't have to worry about being targeted afterward. Lu Yifan said. Obviously, he had already thought about many things. Lin Yu heard this, even though he was still cautious in the depths of his eyes, there was obviously some movement between his face changes. Your plan is not bad. However, if you really want to make a move before you set off, you and I had better familiarize yourself with it first to see if you can still grasp the frequency of the time-space escape method. Time and space escape is a secret escape technique created by the two of them together. The name is also taken by the two of them. Thinking of joining hands to perform it again. Even Lin Ye's eyes have a little more anticipation. That's natural. Lu Yifan said with a smile. If you really want to drop the chain at a critical moment, and the other party has the spirit essence blood close to the semi-sacred existence to summon the other party's deity, you and I will both worry about our lives. At this moment, Duan Lingtian does not know. As the news spread in the void space, more and more supreme powers were staring at him. To be precise, he was eyeing the Blissflower King and Birmingham Fish King in his hands. There was a gust of wind in the nearby area. Pingxiong realm? It's near our Thunder Holy Land. Moreover, it's still coming to the border between our Wind Holy Land and Thunder Holy Land. The treasures that come to your door, don't be free. There seems to be a near half-sacred existence behind me? So what? There are even semi-sage powerhouses behind me. Humph. 9 Blissflower Kings, 3 Birmingham Fish Kings. I want them all. Wealth and wealth are in danger. Since the person who carries the treasure is nearby, if I don't take it, I'm afraid I won't be able to deal with God's arrangement. Chapter 4484. An artifact spaceship is getting closer and closer to the Thunder Holy Land. In fact, at this time, there are not dozens of spaceships close to the Thunder Holy Land, but there are 10 or 8. Put away the spaceship, and let's travel across mountains and rivers. Inside the artifact spaceship, Duan Tian, who changed his appearance and wore a loose black robe, suddenly opened his eyes and said to Tan Xiuting, who was controlling the artifact spaceship. At this time, Tan Xiuting looked like an old man, wearing a gray robe. When he opened his mouth to answer, his voice also seemed extremely old. Are you being too careful, young master? Although Tan Xiuting thought so in his heart, he didn't say it. In his opinion, the reason why Zhongyu, the young patriarch of the Zhong clan in Tailing, bowed his head, not only because he was not as strong as his young master, but also because he was afraid of the background behind his young master. Even him, he also felt that behind his young master, there are more than half saints in 9 out of 10. Even the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdilung clan bowed their heads. Looking at the territory of Pingxiong, those who dared to provoke their young masters were probably the few top-notch elites with semi-sage powers, including the Tianmen Morong family. Strong power. However, even those few forces will not risk offending a semi-sacred powerhouse for no reason, or because of some small profits. Duan Lingtian didn't know the doubt in Tan Xiating's heart. If he knew, he would definitely smile bitterly in his heart. If there is a semi-sacred powerhouse behind him, he is naturally full of confidence. But the problem is, no. Now, the most powerful means of life-saving in his hands is the Lingyun essence blood given by the heavenly Chung sword Situlei, which can summon Situlei himself. However, even if Situlei was really called, so what? Situlei's strength, placed in the Sand Realm that day, was considered a top-notch powerhouse. It can be placed in the Pingxiong realm, but it can only rank in the 3rd echelon at most. Not to mention the top forces in the Pingxiong realm like the Morong family of Tianmen. It is the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdilung clan that are no weaker than Situlei, and definitely no less than 3 or 5 people. Stronger than Situlei, there are also. If the Tailing Zhong clan and the Bingdilung clan react and send strong people to test, I will definitely reveal my secret. Even if they don't come to test, I have taken so many good things from them, and they will definitely not give up. Duan Lingtian has come all the way to this day, relying not only on the luck and chance against the sky, but also on a cautious attitude. This mentality has kept him away from the crisis several times. Whoosh! Whoosh! Duan Lingtian took Tan Xiuting, and after putting away the spaceship, Yukong fell into a deep mountain and jungle, and quickly shuttled through it. Along the way, there were also some big monsters who didn't have long eyes, and they were all caught by Tan Xiuting one by one. Kill. Unhindered all the way. A few days after Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting were on their way, 2 figures suddenly appeared near the place where they had put away the artifact spaceship. There are 2 breaths that disappeared here. It should have disappeared for 3 or 2 days. Wearing a red robe, the Mountain Pavilion's supreme powerhouse, Lu Yifan, said to the middle-aged Qingpao beside him, "Brother Lin Yu, are you sure you can go back to this place and see what happened 3 or 2 days ago?" The middle-aged Qingpao is the most powerful person in the Lin family, Lin Yu. The 2 of them, for the sake of the 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings and the 9 Bliss Flower Kings, came out of the Lin family and followed them all the way to this point. During this period, Lin Yu also found some clues by virtue of his ability to backtrack the law of time. Of course, not all the strongest who are good at the law of time are as good at retracing time as Lin Yu. The reason why Lin Yu is good at it is because of an adventure in the past. Back then, before he broke through to become a superpower, he was fortunate enough to step into a place of return to the ruins, where he met the opportunity left by a saint powerhouse, and thus realized the secret method of retracing time. You must know that generally a superpower like him who has not yet comprehended the law of time to the realm of great perfection has no way to go back in time to people who are not of his own blood. Only the strong have this method. The reason why you can stick to me in advance is because of the chance in the past. Let me try. Although Lin Yu can perform the time retracing secret method when the time law has only reached the realm of small perfection, but compared with those who are strong in the great perfection, his time retracing secret method is greatly lacking. Although it can't be regarded as timely and sometimes not, it is extremely difficult to obtain a complete picture as long as the retrospective time is more than 1 day. In many cases, only some incomplete picture fragments can be captured. If there are too many fragments of the picture, It would be better if you piece it together, you can still see clearly. But if the painting is full of fragments, and the pieces are incomplete, and it is not clear at all, it is useless. Whoa. Lin Yu stood in midair, his eyes suddenly condensed, his hands were spread out in front of him. And then the rolling divine power rose up like a giant wave, sweeping the world in a blink of an eye. In this terrifying divine power, mysterious auras swept out, and then a huge portrait appeared. After a closer look, the portrait actually moved. It is a floating shadow mirror. The mirror image of the floating shadow was turbulent. First, two figures appeared. It was Lin Yu and Lu Yiming, and then the two figures retreated and soon disappeared from the picture. In the picture, the scenery is still the same. It is still the sky above this mountain, and the wind and waves are calm. Occasionally, a few birds roared past, but no one was seen. In about a quarter of an hour, the mirror image of fast forward began to turbulently distort it, and at the same time, Lin Ye's face, which was calm at the beginning, became a little ugly. Go back in time to a day ago. Seeing this scene, Lu Yifan on the side was staring at the mirror image in front of him, watching the time inside and going backwards, not letting go of any details. And the original complete mirror image, as time went back, began to become more violently turbulent and distorted. After another period of time, fragmented cracks appeared on the mirror image, and the cracks continued to spread, and the speed was getting faster and faster. It was 2 days ago. Lin Yu spoke now, and his voice became hoarse and labored, as if he was under great pressure. Broken. At the same time, under the eyes of Lu Yifan, when the time in the mirror image went back to 2 days ago, the fragmented image began to crack, and many fragments turned into powder. Just hold on. Lu Yifan suddenly spoke in a deep voice, just because he saw that there were two more figures in the originally empty mirror image. A black-robed youth. An old man in a gray robe. It's them. And that Lin Ye's voice also became high at this time. And at the same time, as soon as he closed his hand, the scene of the retrospective time disappeared instantly, as if it had never existed. The two of them fell down here and walked. They should want to walk to the direction of Thunder Holy Land. Next, from here, we can search in a carpet-like manner in the direction of Thunder Holy Land. They should be found soon. Lu Yifan's face was a little excited. So many people were looking for it, but they were still the first to land. Don't be too happy. I don't know yet whether the other party has any powerful concealment methods in his hands, and he might be able to escape our tracking. If the semi-sacred powerhouse behind him values him very much, he probably has that means. Lin Yu said in a deep voice. Let's go. Follow it. While Lu Yifan nodded, he couldn't wait to entertain Lin Yu and set off. The two of them followed Duan Lingshan's direction all the way. The distance is getting closer. After only about half a day, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu locked on two figures. It's them. It's the two people who appeared in the floating image just now. Brother Lin Yu, your worries are unnecessary. They don't have the semi-sacred means you said. Lu Yifan laughed. Chapter 4485. Duan Lingtian took Tanxioting. Although he was wearing a disguise, he still did not dare to be careless. Master, are we entering the Thunder Holy Land like this? Tanxioting asked. Although it was not stressful for him to travel like this, it was a world of difference compared to enjoying in the artifact spaceship, and even he felt that his young master was a little unfounded. Since the two major clans guessed that there was an unprovocable existence behind their young master, they would definitely not come looking for trouble. Okay. Suddenly, Duan Lingtian felt an inexplicable heart palpitation. This feeling comes from the tree of life in the small world within the body. But the tree of life is currently sleeping and cultivating, so that he didn't say anything to him. As for the pure world divine water, he did not speak. It should be psychological pressure that made me feel this way. Duan Lingtian comforted himself in his heart. After all, this time, when he scoured the wool of the Tailingjong clan and the Bingdilung clan, he was fake the tiger's might, making the other party mistakenly believe that there was a semi-sacred existence behind him. In fact, behind him, how can there be any semi-sacred powerhouse? Duan Lingtian continued to move forward with Tanxioting, and the speed also accelerated a lot. However, just after crossing a precipitous mountain peak, the two extra figures in the void ahead made Duan Lingshan's complexion change drastically. He knew that his previous feeling was right. The vigilance derived from the Tree of Life has not gone wrong. The strongest. It's the strongest. Although the two figures in front of them are standing in the void in front of them, their whole body is covered with black robes. They can't see their true face, can't see their figure clearly. They are similar to the clothes on his body. Obviously they are covering up identity. However, the pressure vaguely transmitted from the two of them still made him feel suffocated. The strongest. Here are the two supreme beings. Although the pressure on him is not as good as King Han, Situlei and others, but it is not far behind. They cover up their identities, and they are probably afraid of the semi-sacred powerhouses that may exist behind me. Duan Lingtian thought to himself. Of course, there is one thing that he can't understand. Since he is afraid of the semi-sacred powerhouse behind me, why do you dare to stop me so unscrupulously? Since the other party dares to do so, there must be some recourse. After thinking about it, Duan Lingtian also guessed this in his heart. Tan Xiaoting, who was behind Duan Lingtian, also found two figures blocking the road when Duan Lingtian came back to his senses. After he came back to his senses, his face changed greatly. Of course, I have to say that Tan Xiaoting's current dress is very realistic, and he can't see the slightest camouflage. Sound transmission greeted Tan Xiaoting. Duan Lingtian just glanced at the two figures in the air in front of him with a little dread, then took Tan Xiaoting and walked forward on his own. However, just after they traveled not far, they found that an invisible giant attacked and pushed them back to their original places. For a while, Duan Lingtian also looked up at the two people in the air, and slightly cupped his hands. Two seniors stopped our master and servant like this, but what should we do for you? Duan Lingshan's tone was polite, with a somewhat natural arrogance that seemed to come from his bones. He knows that in front of the strongest, it is too humble, and it is not necessarily a good thing. Maybe when someone else rises up, he will be trampled to death as an ant. Sometimes, it is necessary to be appropriately strong, and there is a high probability that the opponent will be able to throw the rat. Of course, Duan Lingtian knew in his heart that these two people had a high probability of coming for himself. To be precise, he came for the Jade Emperor of the North Netherfrost and the Flower King of Bliss in his hands. I don't know if it's the Zhong family or the Lung family. The action is so fast. In just a few days, the supreme powerhouse has come over. Of course, Duan Lingtian also knew in his heart that even if the other party appeared here and even stared at him, he might not be able to confirm his identity. You are calm enough. The one on the left of the two men in black robes said in a calm tone, with a bit of intimidation. In front of me, you don't have to pretend. Abandon the artifact spaceship and walk here on foot. This is not what normal people do. Hand over your things, and I can let you live. The black-robed man seemed to confirm that Duan Lingtian was the one he was looking for. Senior, I don't understand what you mean. Duan Lingtian frowned. The reason why we, the master and the servant, didn't walk in an artifact spaceship was entirely because I wanted to walk down to Earth, deeply sense the Earth, and understand the laws of the Earth system. The voice fell, and Duan Lingshan's body radiated gray light, which was the law of the Earth. Laugh! As Duan Lingtian showed the laws of the Earth element, another black-robed man sneered. You are also a high-ranking after all, so the laws you master are only in this realm? You think we are so fooled? As the black-robed man fell, Duan Lingtian looked indifferent. The law of the Earth is naturally not a law that I am good at. What I am good at is the law of life. The voice fell, Duan Lingshan's body suddenly changed, and the majestic vitality spread out, covering a large area around. Suddenly there were a lot of dead trees and grass, all of which were still turbulent, and many plants broke out of the ground, showing a vibrant scene is especially conspicuous in this barren mountain. Although Duan Lingshan's law of life is not as good as the law of space, it is not far from the law of time. No matter what, he also has a complete tree of life in his body. According to the divine tree of life, in the past, the person who gave birth to it once mastered the plane of the gods in the anti-god realm. In the anti-god realm, those who can control the plane of the gods are placed in the anti-god realm. Among the most powerful people in the god realm, he is also the leader in the forefront. How can such a divine tree of life in the body be ordinary? In addition, according to Duan Lingshan's body, the tree of life, it was not born from the supreme power, but from another supreme power, but its upper-level master. His last master also got it by chance, and achieved the Xian realm with it. What? And as Duan Lingtian revealed the law of life, the bodies of the two men in black robes were obviously shaking slightly, and one of them was even more shocked. Is it wrong? This is also the inner thoughts of Lin Yu and Lu Yifan at this moment. According to the information they know, their target this time is a high-ranking who is good at the laws of space, close to the existence of an invincible high-ranking god. And his strength is said to be no weaker than that of the Tianmen Linghu family, who is known as the invincible high-ranking in the Pingxiong realm. Linghu Yundi, the first person under the honor. Humph, Lu Yifan snorted coldly. You're not the person we're looking for, but you're wasting our time. I'll take you on the road myself, and it's not a waste of your life in this world. When the voice fell, Lu Yifan shot. In an instant, the surrounding air suddenly stagnated, and then the surrounding space trembled and collapsed, and a terrifying force attacked Duan Lingtian and Tan Xiuting overwhelmingly. In an instant, the ground beneath the two of them was shattered and turned into ashes, forcing the two of them to rise into the air. Master Tan Xiating's pupils shrank. The imminent approach of death made him exclaim subconsciously, his eyes filled with panic and despair. On the other hand, Duan Lingshan's expression changed drastically at this time. He never expected that even if he concealed his identity, the other party would still kill him. However, after thinking about it, he also guessed what the other party was thinking. Rather kill the wrong, don't let it go. Among them, there is a high probability that there are still some temptations. Of course, even if it is a test, even if the other party is not quick to shoot now, he can feel that the other party really wants to kill him if he intends to give him time to react. Not to scare him. I didn't expect. So soon, I will use the Lingyun blood essence given by the senior Situ. Duan Lingtian smiled bitterly in his heart. At the same time, a drop of blood emitting a terrifying aura appeared in his hand, which was then evaporated by his divine power. In an instant, the wind and thunder were turbulent, and a terrifying and powerful aura appeared. Boom! With the appearance of this terrifying aura, the power from Lu Yifan's oppression was also defeated in an instant. The long-lost figure appeared in front of Duan Lingtian again. It was the Chengtian sword Situlei that had not been seen for a long time, after leaving the Tiansha realm in the past. The current Situlei gave Duan Lingtian the feeling that he had obviously changed a lot compared to when he was separated in the past. Although his appearance had not changed, his whole body gave off an aggressive feeling. Duan Lingtian knew that this was Situlei's swordsmanship improved again. Chapter 4486. Situlei, as a mortal in the past, stood there with the sword energy all over his body, like in a sword. As soon as he appeared, the pressure from Lu Yifan was completely shattered. Xian deity. Regardless of whether it was Lu Yifan or Lin Yu, when Duan Lingtian took out the blood essence of Lingyun, his face changed, and he subconsciously thought that the other party called out a semi-sacred powerhouse. Especially after Situlei appeared, the display of the fierce swordsmanship made their hearts tremble even more. Really semi-sacred powerhouse? Li. Little friend. I didn't expect you and I to meet again. It's actually like this. After Cheng Xianjian Situlei appeared, he was just about to greet Duan Lingtian, and called out Duan Lingshan's name Li Feng, but was interrupted by Duan Lingshan's voice transmission. Senior Situ, please don't reveal my identity. For a time, Situlei also spoke directly, without naming Duan Lingtian. And neither Lu Yifan nor Lin Yu actually knew Duan Lingshan's real name and pseudonym, so he didn't feel anything when he heard Situlei call out the word Li. Senior, I can't help it either. Duan Lingtian looked at Situlei, and said helplessly, if these two seniors didn't want to kill me, I wouldn't waste the spirit and blood of the seniors. This time, I will trouble the seniors. Duan Lingtian greeted Situlei here, while Tan Xiuting, who was following him next to him, saw Situlei's pupils shrink sharply, and his eyes were full of incredulity. Stuart. It turned out to be Situlei. In the Pingxiong realm, even if it is in existence close to the semi-sage, standing in front of Tan Xiuting, if Tan Xiuting does not know it, he will not be so rude. However, Situlei, in the Tianxia territory where Tan Xiuting is active all the year round, is a top figure. Even Tan Xiuting, who only met Situlei from a distance in the past. Chengtian sword Situlei is one of the strongest Xians in Tianxia realm. Master, there is actually the spirit and blood of Senior Situlei's Lingyun? Senior Situlei, you actually value him so much? Tan Xiuting was shocked. You must know that, as far as he knew, this young master of his family came from Wanjia, not someone from a certain force who was born and raised in a place outside the realm. And he also heard his young master say that it was the first time to Tianxia realm. And before that, there was no one he knew. This also shows that the young master of his family knew this Senior Situlei, when he was in the Wang family in Langxiaking. At that time he heard that Situlei was present at the Qingtian sword. Of course, although he accompanied Meng Yujing of the Meng family in Kanglan City, with his strength and identity, he was not qualified to take the initiative to seek a meeting with a big man like Cheng Tianjian. In Tianxia realm, Cheng Xianjian is a top-notch figure. 2. At this time, Situlei's eyes also fell on Lu Yifan and Lin Yu. In the past, I also stayed in Pingxiong territory for a while. Even if I don't know or have seen the most powerful people in Pingxiong territory, basically have heard a lot. But I don't know who are the two. Just now, Situlei also learned from Duan Lingtian that the place where he is now is the Pingxiong realm. He is no stranger to the Pingxiong realm. Although with his former strength, in the Pingxiong realm, he can only rank in the third echelon. But, even so, among the top powerhouses in the Pingxiong realm, he is considered a powerhouse. But now, his swordsmanship has been refined again. Although he has not achieved a qualitative change, he has also improved a lot. In the third echelon of the Pingxiong realm, he doesn't think there are many people who can be his opponents. Who are you? And Lu Yifan also spoke at this time, and asked in a slightly hoarse tone. It was a completely different voice from when he spoke before, and it was obvious that he deliberately concealed his own voice, because he could see that the person in front of him was obviously not easy to mess with. The opponent, now his eyes are full of fierce fighting intent. Below, Tianxia realm, Qingtian sword Situlei. Unlike Lu Yifan and Lin Yu, who hide their heads and hide their tails, in front of the two of them, Situlei told his origin and identity in an open and honest way. Hearing Situlei's self-introduction, Lu Yifan and Lin Yu glanced at it, and they were relieved to see each other on each other's faces. Chengxianjian Situlei, although he is a top figure in the Tianxia realm, is actually average in the realm of Pingxiong. Although he is still stronger than any of them, the two of them joining forces are truly worthy of each other. It turned out to be the Qingtian sword. When Lu Yifan spoke again, his tone was obviously a little more polite. As for the identities of the two of us, it is insignificant, because we are both newly promoted to the strongest. The voice fell, and before Situlei could speak, Lu Yifan asked curiously, I dare to ask Cheng Xianjian, who is the person who called you? Now both Lu Yifan and Lin Yu feel that they have found the wrong person. The person they are eyeing this time is probably not the person they are looking for. Because as far as they know, the person they are looking for has a semi-sacred powerhouse behind him. Even if there is no semi-sage, no matter how bad it is, there is an existence close to the semi-sacred. And Situlei, although stronger than any of them, still has a long way to go to be close to the existence of the semi-sage. Naturally, it is the younger generation that I value. Otherwise I will give him my Lingyun essence and blood? Situlei's words were reminded by Duan Lingtian. If he were to say it himself, he would definitely say that Duan Lingtian is his little friend who is also a teacher and a friend, not a junior. He is from the Tianxia realm? Lu Yifan asked again, wanting to confirm further. Yes. Situlei nodded. This is what Duan Lingtian asked him to say. Misunderstandings are all misunderstandings. After Lu Yifan was confirmed, he kept saying misunderstanding. We recognized the wrong person. Little friend, if I offended you just now, please forgive me. If you had said earlier that you were Cheng Xianjian's junior, we wouldn't have misunderstood that you were the one we were looking for. What Lu Yifan said behind was exactly what he said to Duan Lingtian. However, before Duan Lingtian could speak, Situ Lei snorted coldly. My junior, I almost died in your hands. This is something you can take with you in one sentence? Today, if you don't give an explanation, I don't want to compete with you. In Situ Lei's eyes, the fighting spirit rose, and the vast divine power on his body, like a galaxy, also oscillated. The fierce and unparalleled swordsmanship caused the surrounding space to oscillate and collapse. Countless gravels flew, the wind swept the clouds, and the sky and the earth changed color, just like the end of the day. But after Lu Yifan and Lin Yu looked at each other again, they didn't speak. However, in the next moment, the strength of the two turbulently rose together, and then they were skillfully merged together. And then, just as Situ Lei reacted, his face changed greatly, and the moment he got up, the figures of the two disappeared with the rapidly folded space, like a teleportation. Not teleportation. However, Situ Lei could clearly feel that it was not teleportation, because it was impossible to teleport within a certain range of the space he had just poised to influence. That's the means by which their powers are combined and combined. There are laws of space and laws of time. Their strength is definitely not as simple as just entering the Xeon. There is definitely a second-order strength, not as good as an ordinary second-order. Second-order. Said it is the second-order Xeon. Entering the Xeon for the first time is the first-order Xeon. At this time, the strength is at the bottom of the Xeon. And further, it is the second-order Xeon. Situ Lei could see that the two people who escaped in a flash were both the existences of the second-order Xeon, and they were the strong ones in the second-order Xeon. Especially the means of escape between the two, which made him unable to react at all. Even if the gods, when I swept it out immediately, I couldn't find any traces, so I couldn't confirm the whereabouts of the other party at all. It's a good move. Even if it is the fourth-level Xeon, the existence that is close to the semi-sacred, it is impossible to disappear in front of my eyes without a trace. The escape method of these two people is not weaker than that of ordinary semi-sacred. Situ Lei was secretly shocked. After confirming that the two had left without a trace, Situ Lei looked at Duan Lingtian and asked in surprise, Li Feng Xiaoyu, how did you get into such two existences? Hearing this, Duan Lingtian suddenly smiled wryly. Senior, I don't know about this matter. I was on my way here, and they appeared directly and intercepted me. They obviously recognized the wrong person. However, they planned to make the mistake and obliterate me. At this time, I can only ask you for help. Senior's life-saving grace today, I will never forget it. In front of Situ Lei, Duan Lingtian didn't tell the truth. After all, wealth and silk move people's hearts. Who knows if Situ Lei can still keep calm after knowing that he has those good things in his hands, and he is not tempted by the things in his hands. From what you said, the two of them are a little overbearing. Situ Lei frowned, but he didn't doubt Duan Lingtian's words. After all, even the other two had said that they were mistaken. Moreover, he did not think that Duan Lingtian would take the initiative to provoke such two existences. That is the existence of the second-order Xeon. Li Feng Xiaoyu, where are you going? I'll give you a ride? Now that the deity is here, Situ Lei didn't plan to return to Tiansha realm immediately. Thinking that he still had some doubts in the swordsmanship during this time, he couldn't help asking, will it be too troublesome, senior? Although Duan Lingtian wished that Situ Lei would give him a ride in person, he was still polite. No trouble. Situ Lei shook his head, and then his old face turned slightly red. I have encountered some minor obstacles in Kendo recently. This time I will see you again, Xiaoyu Li Feng, and I would like to hear Xiaoyu Li Feng's opinion. After all, the rest of the way, we have to take the initiative to ask, so Situ Lei also took the initiative to say it at this time. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, he secretly smiled and smiled. I would like to serve the seniors. This junior is planning to go to the Thunder Holy Land, one of the 3 holy places. The senior will send me to the Thunder Holy Land and send me to the nearest holy city. At the same time, Tan Xiuting, who was beside Duan Lingtian, suddenly lit up, unable to hide his surprise. With characters like Cheng Xianji and Situ Lei escorting him all the way, you can sit back and relax. Chapter 4487. The strongest person in the mountain pavilion Lu Yifan, and the strongest person in the Lin clan Lin Yu, after jointly performing the time-space escape method, completely ignored the interference of the Chengtian sword Situ Lei on the surrounding space, and escaped thousands of miles away. During this process, they could also be sure that Situ Lei would never be able to lock in which direction they went. That Situ Lei, who is just entering the third tier, really wants to fight. You and I may not be afraid of him. But after all, today's matter, after all, is not on the table, and it is not appropriate to reveal his identity, otherwise there will be people who bully the younger generation. Suspect. Lu Yifan said angrily. However, Lin Yu nodded non-committally. He knew that Lu Yifan was trying to save face and suffer, and was looking for a step for himself to make himself feel more comfortable. How could he not know the real reason for not revealing his identity? It is nothing more than worrying that the other party will spread this matter out, causing the genius high-ranking who is suspected to have come out of the semi-sacred power to stare at the two of them. After all, neither of them wanted the other to know their identities. Otherwise, even if you really get the thing, the other party will know their identities when you look back, not to mention the fifth-order powerhouses such as the Bansheng, or the fourth-order powerhouses close to the half-sacred, and only one person is needed. Enough to easily destroy the forces behind them. If the two of them happen not to be together, and there is no way to escape by means of time and space, I am afraid that they will also be buried with the forces behind them. You and I join hands to cast the time and space escape method, and the semi-sacred powerhouse will not be able to leave us. Lin Yu said lightly between words. He was very confident about their joint means of escape. However, it's a pity. Previously, you spent so much time looking back in time, but you were looking back at an irrelevant person. It was a waste of time, energy and divine power. Lu Yifan said with a sigh. That can't be helped. Lin Yu shook his head and was a little helpless. Although there were some sources, it was not easy to find the genius and high-ranking who was carrying a lot of treasures. As I said, we just need to focus on the active superpowers around. When that time comes, when we see which superpowers take action on that little guy, we will have another Oriole behind. Lu Yifan's eyes shone brightly and said, with the time-space escape method that you and I have jointly used, as long as you don't reveal your identity, you won't be a half-sacred person in the territory of Pingxiong, so you don't need to have any concerns at all. Time and space escape is also Lu Yifan and Lin Ye's greatest resource. That's what I said. But the most important thing at the moment is to find out the whereabouts of that genius and high-ranking god. Lin Yu said. An artifact spaceship rose from the vast land, and headed towards the Thunder Holy Land all the way. The speed of this divine artifact spaceship is not comparable to any divine artifact spaceship that Duan Lingtian had previously sat on, because this divine artifact spaceship belonged to Qingtian sword Situ Lei. This artifact spaceship, usually in his spare time, uses the supernatural power to conceive, although it cannot be regarded as a complete super-strong artifact, but it can also be said to be half a super-strong artifact. Moreover, it was Stuart Lei who let the Tree of Life in the small world in his body control the current artifact spaceship, and because of this he didn't need to spend any effort to control the spaceship. In addition, this kind of artifact spacecraft, generally no one dares to intercept it. Ordinary people do not have that speed to intercept. The speed of this artifact spaceship is so fast now that if it is not the superior who is good at the law, even if the strength is close to the invincible superior god, it will be difficult to catch up. As it rushes through the void, it announces to its surroundings. This artifact spaceship is a means of transportation for the strongest. It is precisely because of this that although the large area bordering Pingxingjing and Leishangjing has been raided by some superpowers from time to time, they have not been eyeing the artifact spaceship that Duan Lingtian is currently sitting on. And these people actually came to Duan Lingtian, intending to seize the Beiming Handfish King and the Bliss Flower King in his hands. It seems that something has happened in this area recently. There are so many supreme powers active. At first, Situlei didn't feel anything, but later, when he heard the reminder of the tree of life in the small world inside his body, he found something abnormal again. When things go wrong, there must be demons. If there is an abnormality, Situlei will naturally not ignore it easily. What if it is an opportunity that is also useful to him to make the superpower take such a long time? So in order to know the reason, Situlei went out to inquire. In the end, he also vaguely learned the ins and outs of the matter. With Situlei's third-order strength, those with weaker strengths are still relatively face-saving, and told him the matter. It is suspected that there is a semi-sacred powerhouse as a young powerhouse backing the mountain, knocking on the bamboo poles of the Tailingzhong clan and the Bingdilung clan, and getting 3 Beiming Handfish kings and 9 Blissflower kings? Even Situlei was shocked by the other party's harvest. If it wasn't for him being a loose cultivator, and there are no juniors and descendants, he has no worries, otherwise he will be tempted by these things. These temptations are of no direct use to the strongest themselves. If it is useful, it is nothing more than using it to exchange some rare treasures that are directly useful to oneself with other supreme powers. Someone is being targeted by those superpowers. Situlei, who came back from inquiring about the news, didn't hide anything from Duan Lingtian, and told Duan Lingtian what he had inquired. 3 North Netherfrost Fish Kings, 9 Bliss Flower Kings. It's no wonder they spend so much time. However, those things are not so easy to capture. After speaking, Situlei shook his head. Duan Lingtian heard the words, and his eyes flashed. So the 2 people who stopped me last time should also be the most powerful people who have their eyes on that person? The reason why you don't dare to reveal your identity is because you are worried about your identity being exposed, being targeted by the other party, or even revenge. After all, it is very likely that there is a semi-sacred powerhouse behind the opponent. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Situlei nodded. If you don't tell me, I will forget about it. It should be right. They should regard you as that genius. Situlei laughed. Situlei, from the beginning to the end, did not think about Duan Lingtian to that genius powerhouse, just because according to the information he inquired, that genius powerhouse has the strength to be infinitely close to the invincible superior god, not weaker than the Tianmen Linghu family. Linghu Yundi. Tianmen Linghu family, Linghu Yundi, is the first person under the generally recognized invincible superior in the territory of Pingxiong. What is this concept? In the territory of Pingxiong, she is the strongest existence if the Xian does not exist, and the invincible superior does not exist. Senior is also interested in those things. If Senior is interested, there is no need to send me. I can just continue on my way. Duan Lingtian tentatively asked Situlei, but Situlei shook his head when he heard the words. Those things don't have any direct effect on me as a lonely person, and I can only exchange other things with others when I get them, and it's easy to be targeted by others, and the risk is huge. Risk-benefit trade-off. I don't want to be in this muddy water. Situlei expressed his attitude. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, although he didn't say anything on the surface, he was still slightly relieved. In particular, Tan Xiaoting on the side was shocked into a cold sweat. On the next road, Situlei continued to discuss kendo with Duan Lingtian. And Duan Lingtian did not hide his secrets, and did his best to share some of his insights. It wasn't until Situlei's artifact spaceship entered the Thunder Holy Land, and arrived at the nearest Thunder Holy Land Holy City, called Tourmaline Holy City, that the discussion stopped. Li Feng Xiaoyu. At the time of parting, Situlei sighed. Lingyun essence and blood. I don't have it in my hands for the time being. I can give you a few jade slips, but am afraid I can only deter some newcomers. In the end, Duan Lingtian couldn't evade, and took 3 deity projection jade slips from Situlei, and he could call out Situlei's deity projection each time. However, the strength of the deity's projection is far inferior to the real deity. At most, it is only close to the strength of the invincible upper deity, and there is no follow-up power. The stronger upper deity can consume it and wipe it out. The biggest use of the deity projection is deterrence. However, if you encounter a superpower who deliberately concealed his identity like last time, such a deity projection jade slip is useless, because the other party is not afraid at all. Li Feng Xiaoyu, after you enter the Tourmaline Holy City. Before leaving, Situlei also briefly reminded Duan Lingtian of some things, so that Duan Lingtian would not take too many detours after entering the Thunder Holy Land. As for the details, he didn't say much because many things personal contact is far more useful than his explanation. After about a quarter of an hour, Situlei left. Senior Situlei is a straightforward person. After Situlei left, Duan Lingtian couldn't help sighing with emotion. Hearing this, Tan Xiuting nodded in agreement. Senior Situlei, among the strongest Xians in the Tiansha realm, has the best reputation. I have never heard anyone speak ill of him. Those who mention him, almost all praise him. You said. If he knew that I was the one the strongest were looking for, would he shoot at me? Duan Lingshan's eyes flashed and he asked Tan Xiuting. Hearing this, Tan Xiuting was stunned at first, then smiled bitterly. It stands to reason that it shouldn't be. However, even if it is possible, it is best not to try it. Once you gamble wrong, you will be like a nest egg. Tan Xiuting said. Humanity is the hardest thing to figure out. Situlei's reputation is really good, but who knows if it's just an appearance? It's just because Situlei has wiped out those who know his bad side, so no one knows he's bad at all? Yeah. That's why I didn't tell him the truth. This kind of gamble is too risky. Duan Lingtian nodded, then turned to look at the holy city of Thunder Holy Land in front of him. Let's stay in this holy city of Tourmaline for the next period of time. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.